Sorry.
Yeah, buddy! And we're live. What's going on, Richie Mitch?
All right.
You good?
I'm sound. How you doing?
I'm very well. Wasn't really planning a stream, but, you know, talking.
I bullied you into it.
You've convinced me, which you usually manage to do, but I think it's all well worth it. So we don't really have a topic or a plan, but we just came to check in. I guess we've all kind of become dependent on streaming for Perfume, but you know, as long as people are coming, and I got the idea from the title from Jeremy Hines. He said, you know, if you stream, they will come. That's all that matters, and we'll find a topic on the way. How have you been?
Right.
How's your day? How you feeling? I see Smurfy Girls in the chat. Maybe she'd like to come on.
I think she would like to come on. There's nothing she would love more than to come on.
You think so?
She would love to come. She's even said.
Oh, really? Well, she's
even said in the chat. She's more than welcome.
You know what? Give us your scent of the day. I'm gonna drop the link. If somebody wants to come on and share their scent of the day quickly, they can. The other day we talked about masterpieces and what makes a masterpiece. If somebody wants to come on and share what they consider a masterpiece, something that they love or doesn't get enough recognition or doesn't get talked about, and tell us why they think it's a masterpiece, you know, just for a few moments, they're more than welcome to come on too. I'd love to hear from some people. There's a lot of people in the chat that, you know, I see often in the chat. I don't know who they are, what they look like, or what they sound like. But if they love Perfume, I'm sure they have an opinion that they're able to express in some sense. You don't need to be a YouTuber to have an opinion or share your sentiments about Perfume. So, and we've got somebody here already.
Who could it possibly be?
Perfume. So, what's up, Miles?
Hello.
How are you?
Hello.
Hello, I'm fine. How are you? I'm
good.
Online.
You want to give your scent of the day?
That was Equipage Geranium.
All right.
And that was good for springtime.
Yeah. What do you like about it for spring?
Oh, yeah. More transparent things, more easily wearable. Anything that you like, and even a duck, even you. Yeah. But I didn't try Brute. Never.
You haven't tried Brute?
I can probably try it as a blind buy.
But you've never tried it. You've never tried Brute before in your life.
No. And today I wanted to order Vol de Nuit because of Eugene's picture on Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's not possible to order it now because it's completely out of stock probably right now.
Yeah.
Well, you should.
I don't know what Vol de Nuit is.
You should probably try it.
Yeah, I will do it. Yeah. Yeah, I trust you. So, and how
about masterpiece? Is there a masterpiece that you want to share with us that you think is a masterpiece that everybody should know about?
Probably nothing has changed since we talked lastly. So Masque Ravageur as my only one, Frederic Malle. And today I've ordered Eau Sauvage Perfume from 2017, Francois Demachy. I don't know. I don't know if it will be good or bad, but I think, yeah, lots of people likes it. I tried it 5 years ago, but it was 2012 version.
Okay. Awesome.
And that was very classy. Very classy.
I just bought that. I just bought the 2012 version. I've got it right here in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a premium on the 2012 duck?
I paid £100. I paid £100 for a 90 mil partial, a 95 mil partial. So I thought that, considering some of the money I've spent on other perfumes, I thought that was a pretty good deal. So I was pretty happy with that. Partials, sometimes when you collect like vintage and rare stuff, partials sometimes are like a godsend, because I'm never going to use all of it, or I might use all of it, but it'll be a long time, by which time it'll either have gone off or I won't like it anymore. So I thought 100 quid shipped was a pretty good thing for like basically what's a full bottle.
Cheers to us.
All right.
Cheers.
I actually had a bottle of Eau Sauvage, the regular, in my hands the other day, thinking about picking it up, and I noticed that they took, because Samir had actually pointed out to me, it used to say Christian Dior Eau Sauvage, and now it just says Dior Eau Sauvage.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if they've changed the scent at all, but the packaging has changed.
I've got 10 milliliter decant. I've got a sample, and it's good. It's good. It has that vintage vibe of 60s a bit, but it's fine.
Okay.
Get on here, Heinz.
Rich, you want to give us your scent of the day?
My scent of the day was one of my. What was it? It was one of my spring fragrances. I've only worn them spring recommendations since I did that video. Since we did that stream, I should say. And it was original vetiver, and it was lovely because it was quite warm. It cuts through humidity quite well because it's quite sharp as well.
Now that you mention original vetiver, I'm thinking I'm going to take back that Naxos, and I was thinking of what I should get in its replace, and I wanted to get original vetiver came to mind, but when I checked Stam's stock list, he was all sold out.
Yeah,
so I'll have to replace it for something else. Maybe I'll just get the Must de Cartier.
Yeah. If you like that, you really like that, don't you? So I mean, it would be a no-brainer, really.
I do. I really like it.
Yeah.
And this is my scent of the day. And this is one from my list, Bel Respiro. And I think this is going to be a spring favorite for me because it is green. It's green, wet, grassy, almost muddy. It's like muddied grass. It's not fresh grass. It's not fresh grass. It's like grass that's soaking wet where the snow had just melted on and it hasn't had time to come up and fully grow in. It's really
so it's a bit mossy as well. It's got a bit of dank.
Yeah, when you step in it, your foot sinks into the grass because it's wet.
Yeah, you leave like an imprint on it. I know what you mean.
That's right. So it's a little bit muddied.
Sounds canny.
But crisp. Yeah, it's got these contrasts of muddied and crisp and gray overcast days. But the greenness never really goes away. I like it. I like it because it's moody in that sense.
Yeah. I know what you mean. I like something with a bit of mood. Like it's the clocks have just gone like forward here. So like I'm struggling like and we're having like a really nice, this is really weird. We're having like a really hot week this week, and then on Good Friday apparently it's gonna snow.
Oh wow.
So how's that? Absolutely bonkers.
So Friday will be into April already.
Yeah.
I
exactly.
think we've been known to have some snow in April.
Yeah. Our weather's crazy. We're on like the same parallel as places like Finland and like Denmark and shit like that, but we've got the jet stream, so our weather's like a bit more like clement. Like our weather's a bit nicer. So we get away with our springs should be colder. Like we should live in a much colder climate, but we don't because of the jet stream. So we live a charmed life on this island. Crazy.
So we're thinking about. So you have Friday off. Friday is a holiday here, Good Friday, and
yeah. We get a 4-day weekend. We get Friday, Saturday, Sunday Monday off. We get the Monday as a bank holiday as well, so that's nice.
Yeah, Emilios, you're welcome to come on if you want to share your scent of the day. Here's the link. Click on the link, fill out the information. It just asks you to add your name. It's very simple instructions. If somebody else wants to come on after Emilios quickly and share their scent of the day, they are welcome.
Yeah, we're going through people quick fire.
Yeah, we'll get to meet some new people.
That's
Lyndon,
right.
Lyndon, you want to come on?
Yes, that's right, Lyndon. How are you?
Share your scent. There's a couple of characters here I'd love for them to come on.
Heinz needs to come on.
But not Galen. I don't want Galen to come on. He's a horrible, horrible guest.
Galen.
Doesn't stop talking about himself.
Oh, that's right. It's just oh God. It's hard to bear. Oh,
all right.
Sorry.
We've got Emilios is here, so everybody welcome Emilios.
How are you? Love you guys. I can't believe that, this is working. Who would have thought you could stream for 4 hours talking about freaking cologne? This is crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Isn't it great, though? We can all connect in this way.
I love it. I just wanted to share where my journey started. My journey started late 2019. And then during the whole thing, I joined
very recent.
Watched some of your videos. And then I couldn't stop buying. It just became a thing. And then I noticed that this whole FragCon thing has exploded during the shutdown.
So you've noticed it's gotten bigger during,
It's Eugene, check Fragrance Buy. That's where I buy most of my stuff. Support Canada, of course. But
are you Canadian? Where are you from?
I'm from Chicago. I'm Greek. And honestly, on Fragrance Buy, things are moving so quick. I can't even believe it. They just brought in Tom Ford Noir Extreme, which I want really bad, and it's gone. I mean, collecting is growing through the roof, guys. And Mr. Duck, I love you. You got a great way about you.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for saying that.
I did try to PM Joel to try to get him on, and I know he's probably a little put off by you, but he doesn't understand you yet. The message is kind of saying not snobby. That's all part of a thing,
I don't know. I got no comment really. I don't think it's gonna happen.
Do you mind if I try?
Who is it? Who you talking about?
I think he said Joy Amin.
Joy.
I mean, you know what? It doesn't matter. I don't think he would come on.
I don't know. I just think what you're doing is really cool. It's fun.
So yeah. Did you give us your scent of the day?
Yes, my scent of the day. And Mr. Duck, forgive me. I do clones, and I'll explain as to why. I'll explain. Don't hate me. You can hate me. I understand.
I don't hate you, son.
One of my 4 for life, which I know you hate, Eugene. I love this.
Is that Green Irish Tweed?
Yeah. Green Irish Tweed.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Reach for the fake or moth version of it, which is really good, but I wanted the real thing today, and I'll explain as to why, Duck, in a second. I did want to bring up another one, and I don't know if you guys like this style of fragrance. I know you like usually more classic fougères and French style houses, but holy cow, I picked this up on a Joy Amin review, by the way. This is Arabian Oud Amiri, and this stuff, holy, this stuff is outstanding. I can't recommend this enough.
What do you like about it?
It's masculine while being citrusy, and believe it or not, there is a oud base. You can barely detect it, and nuclear without being screechy like a Montalvo Zero.
Okay, that's always a good thing.
I am not kidding, guys. I get a compliment every time. It's unheard of. And by compliment, I do mean that sometimes, what are you wearing? You know, it might not necessarily say, but if they notice, and it's every time.
Yeah, like, yeah. Do you find that's like part of the reason why you love fragrances? Because it's something you can share with other people, and like
yes,
other people like will notice you about it.
I used to, but now, you know, as you evolve, you start wearing them for yourself. You know, it's like a mood enhancer and everything. And believe it or not, I know it's kind of silly, but I love going on Joy's page, and they've got a really good group there. So I do post my scent of the day, and everybody does, and we kind of razz each other and joke around with each other. And gosh, Eugene, I thought you had a collection, and you do. Some of these guys have a collection like you. We do mail calls and fragrance hall posts. Some of these guys are crazy, and you'd think coming from some of these countries they wouldn't ordinarily do that. I guess some of these guys do well for themselves. Another pickup, if you don't mind sharing, that doesn't get good reviews, but what do I care? And I have gotten compliments off this too. Is this thing. Bentley Exotic Musk.
Never heard of it.
What? Never heard of it.
Bentley has a higher end series they're doing in these kind of fancy bottles. They've got like a vetiver, a cashmere. Oh man, this is smoky floral. I've never smelled anything like this. Not that I'm experts like you guys. I've gotten good response off this too.
Well, we're hardly experts, nor do we claim the final word on anything. We're just enthusiasts that have been, I don't know, in the process for a long time.
Well, that's when I say expert, that's what I mean. You guys have very developed noses. You can pick out notes well because you guys have tried all the really good ones, the classic ones. That's what I mean by expert. To me, you're an expert, in my opinion.
Well, thank you. Even though I don't consider myself an expert. Maybe the duck is an expert.
Oh, yes.
There he is.
You've lost your mind, guys, when you start using your fragrance bottles like you, Eugene, when you start using them in your decoration. I got bottles here. You've lost your mind, legitimately.
It is. It's hard to keep a lid on it, isn't it?
So, Emilios, when you started with fragrances, where did you start? Like, did your journey start with low-end designers, with cheapies, with classics? Oh, you went straight to the niche.
Oh. Okay, so there was a guy, I don't remember his channel name on YouTube, and he did like 4 classic fragrances every man should own. It's a sartorial kind of thing, a suit guy. I was buying a nice suit. I always wanted a really nice suit, and I found a good deal on one. And I watched one of his things, and he had Git and he had Guerlain vetiver. So Git was a little expensive, so I got a sample of it, and I fell in love. When I say it was immediate, Guerlain vetiver smells classy, gentleman, and in my opinion, you could use it all seasons. There's no period. It's just class in a bottle.
It's got the tobacco in it as well, hasn't it? So it's got depth for the winter.
To me, it's highly underrated. And you guys were talking about masterpieces. I think that's a masterpiece. Honestly, I think that's a very copied vetiver, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then it started from there, and then I couldn't stop. And then it became like a bottle obsession. And then I saw this bottle. Talk about dumb things, This is Bodicea the Victorious, the famous blue beast, the real blue beast, blue sapphire. So it's got a real blue sapphire and I believe gold plating. And the glass is real blue glass. It's not a tinted glass. So I saw this bottle and I'm like, I have to have it. This is expensive. So I saved up my pennies and bought this. And the scent is growing on me. It's a very interesting scent.
Yeah.
And then
I've never tried any of them.
Same, neither have I.
if you try one, this is one of the ones to try. It's a very off-putting house. They have a lot of redundant fragrances, but this is a unique one. Supposedly, it's also a copy of Abdul Samad Al-Qureshi. Supposedly, they have one that smells similar to this, and people say that Blue Sapphire was a copy of that. And then the other ones that got me crazy, I smelled the Blue Beast. And Eugene, I saw you did a review on this too. I remember that.
Yeah.
And
a
I'm
long time ago. A very long time ago. Yeah.
I remember that. You were like in your basement, I think.
It was a diary, like a interlude diary.
Yes. And I love that one because you went through like the whole process of actually wearing it and what you got out of it. And I had never thought I could wear something like this and enjoy it. But my gosh, I actually wore this to the gym. I choked people out.
Yeah.
And another
you
one.
You need a ventilator following you around with that one.
Bad. It was bad. I got strange looks. And this was, again, a Joy Amin. This is a cheapie, but my gosh, it's really nice. It's very caramelly, rose, oud. You could get this for like $30. It's Latafa Oud Mood.
Okay. Latafa.
Yeah, another Arabic.
So many of these brands sound alike to me. I can't distinguish one from the other.
I know. I'll tell you what, the presentation on Arabian Oud, they have like a boutique in New York and around the world. Supposedly they have the #1 selling fragrances, Guinness Book of World Record. So you can see they have a huge following all over the world, especially the Middle East. But the packaging and presentation is ridiculous on this thing. It's like a box within a box within a box. It comes in its own special bag. It's just ridiculous. And then partly because of you, Gene, and you asked about my fragrance journey. I went to Neiman Marcus, and I was dying to smell the Guerlain's Absolus, the Orient, right? And being new to this, and forgive me, guys, you're going to laugh. Being new to this, I went to the counter. This was prior to the whole mass shenanigans. And I told the gentleman there, I want to smell the Guerlain's. He's like, sure, go ahead. I swear to you, I understood what you said yesterday, Eugene, when you said they all have like a familiar family note to them, but yet they all smell different. And you can't put your finger on what it is, but there is a familiarity between them. Right. I first saw them, I said to the salesperson, I said, at Neiman Marcus, you know, they could be snooty there. I said, who the hell would want to smell like this? This is ridiculous. So he sprayed, gave me test strips, right? I didn't mark them. A month passed, it on my counter. The smell would not leave. It permeated. Like you'd walk in the vicinity and you would smell the smell. And I said, man, this smells like old woman, wealthy woman, feminine. But for some reason, I didn't know. I started blind buying all of these without knowing what it was. And it was, and on Sans with Thee.
Oh, wow.
All right.
Was that your first one?
Yes. And then one more story for you guys. Forgive me, I'm talking your ears. This, Santal Royale, right? Quick story on this. Right. I bought a 10 ml decant of this, okay? I'm going to give this a shot because I don't like rose fragrances. I gave it to my friend. I said, oh, this smells too feminine for me. Forgive me, Eugene. I wasn't experienced yet. So, wow, I love this thing. I gave it away to my friend. I said, well, give it to your wife. Maybe she likes it. His wife smelled it. She said, no, it smells like an old woman's bathroom. I said, oh, come on. You guys are being overly critical. They gave me the sample back. It was in a glass vial. I put it on my bathroom sink one day, and I was like, well, I'll give this another shot. By mistake, I knocked it over. It broke all over the place. And like, I wanted to give it a wear. Right? So I started dabbing my hand. I'm like, for days, it smelled so good. I could not stop going into the bathroom to smell it. And I said, why did I? Terrible. I bought a bottle immediately the next day. and absolutely, this is to me masterpiece.
It's a very
All right
strong
on.
fragrance. Masculine, yeah, I would agree. I mean, all the power to any woman that decides to want to wear that. There's nothing wrong with it, but I find it very heavy as well.
It's a great one. I wanted to get your thoughts on the Patchouli Ardent, guys. It's going to be a blind buy, and I think that's where I stop because I can't pull it off. I've tried.
I think it's a beautiful, fresh patchouli, kind of fruity. I'd like for it to do a little bit more, but it's nice. There's nothing wrong with it. I don't find it as complex as the other ones.
I'm gonna give it a buy then. You guys said
That's all it takes, eh? That was easy.
That was easy. I was already convinced. I wanted to go with the line. You said that they might be. You heard rumors they might be canceling this.
I didn't hear that. Somebody, was it you, Rich, that said that?
Apparently, I had heard a la-di-da. I'd heard that they were cancelling the line in September, but I've also heard they're bringing out another fragrance in that line.
Wow, that would be a shame if they canceled
Yeah,
that.
I heard there's a tobacco coming out next year or this year, or I think they're doing one a year now. So I need to plug in my laptop.
Do you guys know if Louis is canceled?
If Guerlain Louis?
Yeah.
I did not.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I think it is. I know it's at their discounters, and I know the prices are going up at discounters.
Wow.
I did not hear that at all.
You didn't hear that at all. What he wants to know if Guerlain Louis is discontinued.
I didn't hear that at all.
Can you hear it? Oh, you didn't hear it. Oh, right. Sorry.
No, I heard.
I didn't know what you meant by you didn't. I
didn't hear that.
I didn't know whether you meant you couldn't hear us or you didn't hear that it was discontinued.
Have you tried Louis, Emilios?
No, but I just blind bought it.
I would say get that over Patchouli Ardent.
Okay. And I also just got Tam Dow from Fragrance Buy. It's back in stock, so I really like that one.
Good choice. I like that as well.
Yeah, that's a nice one. Interesting thing on Encens Mythique. I think I shared it in the chat yesterday or the day before yesterday. When was it where you guys were on? I spray my pant legs with this. So whatever.
That was you. I remember reading the comment. Right.
So you know why I do it? So every time I get up and down, I get like strong wafts of it for myself because I've grown to love it. For me, I've tried to wear it, but I just can't seem to pull it off. But on my pant legs, I'm like, man, I get a chance to smell it throughout the day.
I've never sprayed anything down that low.
Well, I my pant legs, so keep your mind clean over there. One other question for you guys, like especially Guerlain. My God, some of the classic fragrances, like Shalimar, they go up in value, insane amounts.
If you're looking for vintage, they can. Yeah, you don't need to spend a lot of money to appreciate old Guerlain because the modern are still very good. The modern are better than some niche perfumes.
Well,
you can find them for under $100.
Right. For you guys, have you ever thought about this? And people in the chat, have you thought about buying some of the current ones and just shoving them away, sealed in the box in a dark closet and forgetting about them and then handing them off to your kids? Could be a little investment.
I've got that now. I got a closet full of Guerlain pure perfumes. Yeah.
I saw there was some like Dark Shadow, and forgive me, I'm butchering it. I don't know. It was like on eBay for like $10,000. Crazy.
Which perfume was that?
Dark Shadow.
A Shalimar edition?
Oh, yeah. They got lots of limited pieces or exclusive pieces. I've seen them go up to $25,000 for 1 liter Baccarat crystal bottles.
Wow. Wow. Well, guys, what you're doing. And I'll let somebody else jump on. Sorry for my anxiousness.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on. Pleasure having you.
There's 95 people. There's 95 people in the chat, but there are only 44 likes. People should like the stream for Eugene.
Smash that love button, guys. If you're enjoying yourself, hit that like button. I noticed the last time we streamed and we asked them to like, the more the likes went up, the more viewers came on. It was almost instantaneously. So the algorithm definitely works.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's good. It's good for your channel. This stream fucks. I don't know what that means. I don't know if it means that it fucks or it sucks.
You go on some streams and they censor you. You can't use the F word. So I noticed that it shows up on my streams. I'm not sure if there's a setting there.
It's because me and Jeremy Hines allow it. Me and Jeremy Hines
is that what's going on?
The wrenches. Yeah, Jeremy Hines is operating the wrench.
All right.
Would you prefer it if people weren't allowed to swear?
No, it doesn't make a difference to me.
No. Spot on.
I mean, if it's just the general swear word.
Yeah. I think it's a 4-letter word. Oh, hello. That's a good thing, Mitch. That's okay. I understand fragrance review. Thank you for clearing that up. I'm fucking British. I don't know. I don't know what I was gonna say. I'm just hot. I've had to put my fan on, so if you can hear like wind, if the wind gets a bit too much, let us know and I'll turn it down. But it's fucking hot in here, honestly.
It's getting
Ducks don't sweat.
I think it was 20 in Toronto today.
It was 20. Yeah, it was 20 here as well. One
of our cats went missing at the shop. We have 3 strays, 3 feral cats that we feed, and we haven't seen one for the last 24 hours, so we're kind of concerned about it. Tore the shed apart looking for it, but we don't know if it took off or it got eaten or who knows. What happens to strays? Why do they disappear?
That's right. You should chip it. You should put like one of those little GPS tags on it and see where it goes.
Hello to Finland.
Hello, Finland.
Didn't know we had viewers from Finland.
Honestly, Pinya E, right? Honestly, I mentioned Finland earlier in the stream when I was talking about the weather in England. I did mention Finland earlier. That was an extremely strange coincidence. So there we have it.
Finland. Maybe you're Pinya E.
You're on to us. Hello. Would you like to come on?
Pinya E?
We
haven't had a woman on yet, have we? Somebody said in the comments, we'll never get a woman on here. We'll never get those fragrance creators. And I don't know what he meant by that. Was it because of what? Why wouldn't we get a woman or a creator on here?
They must think we're a bit abrasive.
Is it because we're out of control? Because I don't think we are. I don't think we're abrasive.
I don't know, are we? It would be interesting to watch a stream back if a lass came on. Like if a woman came on, and would like watch the stream back and see how if we'd started behaving differently.
Yeah, what you think the comments would start catcalling her or something? Like the guys would get out of control, they'd lose their senses.
Yeah, I'm worried about that. That's why loads of women won't come out as well, because it's 2 blokes. And they think they would just get judged or something like that. So maybe that's why no women come.
What's up, Sam?
I don't know. Sam. Sam Broom. How's Sam Broom?
Sam Broom, you want to come on?
Do you ever get... Yeah. Do you ever get this thing where, do you ever get like a rash around your neck? I don't know if you spray on your neck.
Never.
But last few days I've had a fucking rash. Honestly, I've got stuff on my neck at the minute. It's fucking killing us.
See, I don't.
Because that's usually where I spray. Sorry?
I don't remember the chat getting out of control when Charlotte was on. Charlotte from Guerlain.
The chat. The chat might have.
No,
the chat just talking to itself. Yeah.
The chat talking to itself. I like that. Yeah. I've never really gotten a rash or something that concerned me regarding perfume. If I've had dry skin, like from work, where I work with a lot of chemicals and spray some on, yeah, I might get red, like a red rash, but it's a combination of, the mixture of perfume and the chemicals that I work with. But I've never really gotten anything where I spray that has concerned me. My mom used to wear Your Poison. It was her signature. And she said that like her chest had turned brown, literally had changed colors from wearing Poison over the years. Like the color of her skin changed colors.
Yeah, that happens to quite a few women actually, doesn't it? On their chest, just above their boobs.
Yeah, it could be a chemistry thing.
I think it's the alcohol. I think the alcohol dries out the skin.
Oil, maybe even the oils.
Well, yeah, it would depend what type of oil was in it. Yeah. It's not ideal, is it? Oh, excuse me. I don't know. What should we discuss?
What black tie are you talking about? Is this the Celine black tie? Not worth the hype? I liked Celine black tie.
I've never smelled any of them. Celine, every time I hear the name Celine, I think Celine Dion.
Photosensitive reaction. The neck rash is a photosensitive reaction.
You reckon? So it could be the sun, you think? I'm not sure it is.
It's everything but the perfume. Let's not blame the perfumes because we'll get more restrictions. It's the sun. It's photosensitive. It's the alcohol.
It's not the perfume. It's me. I can't see the chat. Me pads up. Me pads decided to have an upload. So yeah, sun plus fragrance. Yeah, I never spray directly on skin during the summer months. Is that right? Oh, Kareen's here. Oh, she's going to bed. Does that mean Sam's not coming on?
He says he's at work. Some other time.
Oh no.
He's always welcome. If somebody else wants to come on, I don't think we're going to stay on very long. This is kind of a surprise, just a check-in stream.
It is.
Share our sense of the day. If you want to talk about like the last video, we talked about masterpieces, and if there's something that you love and you think it's a masterpiece for you and you want to share it, you're welcome to come on and let us know why or what you love about it. Catherine, you want to come on? Even for
that'd be interesting. Get Catherine on.
Even you don't even need to show your face if you don't want to, just like the duck. Oh, we got the Houdini is in the house. For Grant
Houdini's in the house.
And Instagram's Houdini. What is up, Houdini?
Hiya, you all right?
Hello.
You're here. You're live. Give it to us. Bam. Do you know the duck personally? Duck, do you know Houdini?
I don't.
All right, well.
Never heard of him.
Houdini, duck, Houdini. Chat, Houdini.
Yeah.
What's your scent of the day? Give us your scent of the day.
It's Xandria, I think it's called. Ormond Jane. Kind of a musky. Don't know. It's a bit. Yeah, I'm not too impressed with it, to be honest. It's nice.
I've never been impressed with anything from Ormond Jane, if I'm honest.
Well, it's Gez is showing, isn't it? I don't know if this collection is him. But I think if you don't like that kind of hyper modern kind of feel, I don't think you're not going to like any of the Ormond chains. I wouldn't say. Maybe the Tolly one is a bit more, got a bit more appeal to people who like, you know, more sort of classic stuff. But generally speaking, they're all pretty modern, I would say. So yeah, it's nice, and I do like this kind of thing. But yeah, I'm not overly enamored with it, shall we say.
James, tell us where you're from.
I'm from Chester, which is kind of in the northwest of the UK.
West.
Like
How far is that from you, Duck?
About an hour, 2 hours, 2.5 hours.
All right.
Are you from Sunderland?
Fuck off. I'm from fucking Newcastle.
Do you know, the only reason I say it is because your duck has got a red and white scarf.
Yeah, I know. It's unfortunate that I must admit I did pick up on that, but it's the only duck I could find with a little. I should change that. In fact, I'm self-conscious about me fucking red and white scarf now. It's no, I know what you mean though. It's but no, I'm definitely not from Sunderland. It's a strange breed, them. No offense.
They're not the monkey hangers, are they?
No, that's Hartlepool.
Hartlepool.
That's Hartlepool. Hartlepool are where they hung the monkey.
Do you know?
Crazy that.
Have you heard about that,
Eugene?
What's that?
The monkey hangers.
I don't understand a word either of you two fucks are saying. Like, it's over my head completely. The English accent and me don't. We're like oil and water. But you got to give it to me slow.
Okay.
Tell them what it is, Houdini.
Right. In Hartlepool, I don't actually fully know. I know they hung some monkeys.
In Hartlepool, what happened is in the 1700s, right? There was it might be in the 1800s. There was a port town, right, where there was like they used to receive stuff from like abroad and stuff all the time, and they were like a seaside thing. And one day, it was during the Napoleonic Wars, so it was the 1800s, and this ship like came to like dock, and it was like any port in a storm sort of thing, because there was like a storm at sea. So it came into the store, and a monkey escaped from the ship and got on land and started obviously causing havoc because it's a monkey in it. And what happened is the locals had no idea what the hell it was and what it was doing, because it was the 1800s. They'd never seen a monkey before, so they thought it was a Frenchman, right? so they took it. So they took the monkey, right, and they hung it because they thought it was like one of Napoleon's fucking troops. I don't know whether this is a myth or whether it actually happened, right? But that is a story that is like well known around like the country.
And
about
regardless of
Hartlepool.
whether it's true or not, that's what they get called.
Yes, that is right. Yes, yeah. The people called them the monkey hangers. Mental. The people of Hartlepool thought it was a Frenchman.
Interesting.
So, did you follow that story, Eugene, or did it just go over your head?
No, I got that. I got it. You got to take your time, though.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
So
How many people are watching?
You got about 106 people. Any new discoveries? Because I noticed that you're always discovering new things and looking around and sampling.
Yeah. What have I discovered? Let me think. Well, the most sort of recent ones that kind of you sort of know about, because we've briefly sort of spoken about them, is obviously Les Indemodables. Love those. Maison Crivelli.
Never heard of that.
I've noticed you speaking about David Albrighton. Is it Albrighton?
Oh, Freddie.
Freddie, yeah. Sorry. and I remember the name only because he used to do YouTube like before YouTube was invented, and he had removed all of his videos, and that's where the name stuck with me. Do you want to tell them about Freddie's work? Freddie's independent, indie, artisanal perfumer.
That's right. He's actually a really good tattoo artist as well.
Okay.
So I think primarily his his day job is a tattoo artist, and he's brilliant. He does very kind of high contrast kind of color, roses and stuff, you know, all that kind of classic stuff, but it's very kind of photorealistic, you know, really sort of nice stuff, but it's got a kind of painted kind of style to it. He also he was kind of he worked with is it Alessandro somebody, I forget his name, from Vogue.
They're saying Gardoni, Anthony Gardoni.
That's him. Yeah. He did a sort of collaboration with him. He didn't actually do any of the perfumery, but he wanted to make a fragrance, and they were friends, and the Vogue guy made the fragrance for him. He's actually made two of them called Douleur, if I'm pronouncing that right. I think it means pain in French. And to be honest, it's fucking mad. The first one is like, it's not to my taste anyway, but it's even difficult to describe. It's weird, kind of rubbery, floral, really strange, really heavy, very unique perfume, but like it's not for the faint of heart. And yeah, so I was kind of expecting Freddie's own stuff that he's doing to be along the lines of that, but they're not at all. They're very kind of subdued. They're kind of quite out there with the ideas. So he's got one called Boys, one called Bernadette, Evelyn, Margaret, Teresa, something like that, and another one. What's the other one called? Mabel's Tooth. So they've all got kind of quite wacky names, and you'd think, okay, he's done that Douleur one, so it's going to be they're going to be pretty mad. They're actually quite restrained. I mean, the Boys one is like has a kind of he's deliberately done a sort of, it's kind of tongue in cheek, so it's got a kind of white musk accord, so it literally opens like a kind of almost like a kind of, I call it like a turbo air freshener. It's like a really but it's deliberate. It's very deliberate, and then when that subsides, you get this lovely violet, kind of Parma violet sort of very beautiful violet perfume. And he's very open with his formulas as well. So he posts a lot of stuff on Instagram where he doesn't show his amounts or anything, but he shows all the materials that he uses. And he and I, you know, we've kind of bonded over, you know, I do a bit of kind of hobbyist sort of perfumery at home. And yeah, we talk about formulas and stuff. So we've just kind of bonded over that. And he sent me the pre-release samples, which I was very grateful for. And you know, I wouldn't bullshit at the end of the day. You know, I've got a kind of acquaintance with him online, but I would, and I have done before when people have sent me stuff, and I give hopefully constructive critique on what I think, you know, that I don't like about them or whatever. But in all honesty, all three of these, I really like them all. So I mean, Mabel's Tooth is a kind of gourmand. I don't even really like gourmands, but it's a kind of, it's almost like a treacle toffee, but like a little bit pissy. So it's got kind of like, and that sounds terrible, but it's got this slightly it's like a musk, like Shangri-La or something like that. So it's got this slightly pissy quality to it. But it's also like Immortelle as well, so it's got a kind of leathery floral kind of thing to it. They've all got a floral thread going through them all, so I like that he has a kind of theme of what he does, you know.
So they sound kind of interesting, and I haven't gotten the chance to smell them, but I remember when he was reviewing on YouTube. I don't remember the name of his blog. If you remember it, please share it with us. Somebody here must remember watching him, or I think he even had his own blog. But he used to like more challenging and unique scents, and he was the kind of guy that would shit. He would shit all over like mainstream, mass appealing stuff.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, he didn't hold back his opinion, which I really like. I like that type of review.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, good for him. You know, I like hearing it. I'm glad that everything's working out for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's good as well because obviously during the lockdown, he hasn't been able to tattoo people. So he's really thrown himself into his perfumery, and it's kind of been a great opportunity for him. I mean, he can speak obviously better for that himself, but I think it's been a kind of blessing in disguise that he's been able to get into it. So I think what I was thinking about, because I've been listening to a lot of you guys recently, because I've been thinking, yeah, I'd love to come on and obviously give my sort of 2 pennies. And so I listened to it in the car. There's loads of things that I often think, yeah, I'd love to like comment on that. But I think talking about Freddie Albright and stuff, do you tend to review all perfume equally, or do you have like different standards for, let's say, like I know, I'll put it a different way. From dabbling in perfumery myself, I think I have a much more of a respect for perfumes that aren't amazing. Do you know what I mean? Like I think if somebody's doing something and they're a self-taught perfumer, I have a much more sort of, I've given them a lot more leeway than I would do to say, a big brand or a trained perfumer or whatever. So I just was thinking.
I definitely try not to shit on indie brands as much as I shit on your average like designer. Well, certainly not designer brands. I shit all over them. But like even niche brands, like it goes designer, niche, indie. I try not to shit on indie perfume as much because I know most of them are self-taught.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, if I'm going to rate or rank Freddie's work, I'm obviously not going to look at it the same as I would rank, let's say, Olivier Polge or Bertrand Duchefort. I would obviously give them a little bit more leeway. 1 second.
Someone's trying to get in touch with you. What was I going to ask you, Houdini? I was going to ask. Oh, something. Have you ever smelled? Have you ever smelled Arsène Lupin Voyou?
The Guerlain.
The Guerlain, yeah.
Yeah. I have, yeah.
What do you think of it?
Do you know what? I hadn't until very recently tried that particular one. And it was actually the last time I was able to get out of the country. And it was kind of around this time last year, funnily enough. So I'll be honest, I don't have that great a recollection. Is it a kind of citrus, floral? I don't know.
No. That's because there's another one as well. There's a Lupin Dandy.
That might be
but
it, right?
Yeah, I've got the Lupin Voyou. I hope I don't knock over a shelf here. There we go. This to me it's all sandalwood, but it's like a really light sandalwood. Like some sandalwoods have that really light, refreshing sort of vibe. And it's like, this is all like, hold on, let us spray because I haven't worn it for like a year. Hold on.
I'm gonna let
this is like a.
Jared's been waiting in the background for a few minutes. Let him on. You guys finish what's going on, but I'm going to let him on at the same time.
Okay. Like Voyou. We were talking about Arsene Lupin Voyou, and because Pinya E was in the comments and she was asking about it and what she wanted to know what you thought about it, Eugene.
Of which one?
Voyou, Arsene Lupin.
Voyou. Voyou's the violet, right? Or is it the sandalwood? Voyou's the purple
It's the
one.
sandalwood. It's not the purple one. It's the
Okay.
it's the light.
I think it's
the
a
light.
really nice, soft, warm, spicy sandalwood. Very woody. Let me get my bottle to refresh my memory.
Go on then. Hello, Jared. How are you?
Hey, Rich. Good morning. I'm okay.
Good. Very much almost good morning. It is 23:59 here. I will wish you good morning in about 30 seconds, mate.
Right. It's a nice morning here. I actually just woke up and I saw Eugene's Instagram post. So it's like 26-degree weather here, Celsius, not Fahrenheit. To our American friends. And birds are chirping, so I'm kind of outside in the veranda, just listening to your chat about your land.
What's up, Jared?
Hey, Eugene. Good morning.
What's your scent of the day?
I'm here. It's posting it already on the screen, which is Chanel's Coco.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a bit it's a little bit uncommon for someone to wear such a opulent perfume in the peak of summer, but I don't mind. I'm just at home in quarantine, so it's not like I'm gonna stifle someone outside.
All right.
Good morning.
Hello.
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 There you are.
So yeah, I'm outside just listening to the birds chirp and whatnot while doing the stream.
You're connecting with the birds. Awesome. All right. So somebody was asking about Lupin. And I think the question was, how does it compare to Tam Dao? I think Tam Dao is a little bit more complex and interesting. This might be a little bit better crafted. It's the Guerlain craftsmanship and the materials used. If I had to choose, I think I would choose Tam Dao. Not that there's anything wrong with this, but if I'm forced to choose, I think this is very beautiful. Spicy, woody. It's a very woody sandalwood. It's got a little bit of greenness and creaminess.
Which one's that?
That's
Tam
Voyou.
Dao. Do you prefer Tam Dao to Lupin?
I would take Tam Dao to this, yes. But I think I would take what's the other one? Dandy? I would take Dandy to Tam Dao.
How old is that Lupin one? Is there an older version, or did it just
I think
come
these
out
were like 2000, mid 2000s.
right?
Maybe
I know obviously
2010.
Derby was an older one. I like the new bottles with the wood around.
Yeah, Derby was originally in 1985, was it? And then re-released with this line.
Yeah,
I think it was 2005, but Derby is definitely worth owning.
Yeah, I'm trying to get trying to get a vintage at the minute. I'm trying to get one of the Listerine bottles. And if I can't get the Listerine bottle, I'm going to go for one of the Eagle bottles, but it's going to cost us the best part of 400 quid.
See, I've never tried the either, but I keep hearing that the Parisian Derby is very much like the old one. So
it is.
It might not be worth the money unless you're just looking to collect.
I'm always looking to collect.
I've seen a few. I think there's a few on Etsy at the moment, isn't there?
I'd love to have
Etsy's
one for that bottle. Like the bottle is it's beautiful. It's stunning. The Eagle bottle.
Yeah.
Where'd you get your vintage stuff then?
Who, me?
Yeah.
All over the place, just where I can find it. There's a website in Canada called Le Perfume. There is I've got a few contacts on the continent, which is a nightmare getting stuff in now, but I've managed it a couple of times since January. I know a couple of Italian sellers, Paolo, and I can't remember the other bloke. And there is a Herschleider in Germany, and there is Joseph from Hungary. I could send you the details if you've got. Are you friends with Eugene on Instagram?
I am, yes.
I could send him a couple of links to send to you if you want.
Oh, that'd be good of you, yeah.
Sound?
Yeah.
Especially Joseph from Hungary selling off a collection, and that's where I bought like my 80s jewels and me vintage Zeno and like a couple of other things as well. Samia as well from Eugene. I've bought a couple of things off him. I got me vintage Rive Gauche he gave us it for like 140 quid, which is pretty good. That includes VAT as well, so it was like actually like 120 quid. So it was a really good price.
That is good.
Yeah, it is for the
Rich,
new
when
stuff.
you're buying vintage, are you worried about the expiration dates or it getting spoiled?
Expiration date. No, I've never had in all the vintage fragrances I've bought. I've never had one that's been off. They've been different to what I expected they would be like, because I bought a vintage vetiver in the ribbed bottle from like the mid 2000s the other day, and I was expecting it to smell like the modern vetiver which I've got, but only stronger and better, and it didn't. It was a lot more nuanced, and that's something you've got to watch out for. Don't mistake it smelling different for it being worse. Like this vetiver is a lot less like the ribbed bottle of the vetiver is much less vetiver centric, and it's got more of the tobacco and it's got more of the grapefruit at the top. It's a lot more nuanced, whereas the modern vetiver is a smack in the face of vetiver. It feels much more like a punch in the face. This is with vintage perfume. I think what you find is they're a lot more nuanced. And with more modern perfumes, especially designer and like mass market perfumes, you find that they're more just like a smell, if that makes sense.
They're not as thick.
Sorry, go on.
They're just not as thick or rich. They smell more plasticky than actual ingredients, right, Rich?
Yeah, like new stuff. New stuff is
there's a huge difference, at least like visually. Everything's really smooth and the textures are ironed out. I find the
vintage
much richer.
Like a vintage Koros, right? Like the new one's like it's literally like a punch in the face, but the old one, you can smell the transitions. You can smell like the definition. That's probably the best word, is definition. You can smell the definition of each note and how it transitions to the next one. It feels as though they're much more like do you know, how can I put it? It's definition. It's like there are peaks and troughs in the fragrance, whereas in more modern perfume, those peaks and troughs are gone, and it's more like a straight line.
Streamlined, yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's more like a straight line.
I was just going to say about the Guerlain Vetiver. I've got a couple of vintage minis that are pretty old. I think they're like 80s or something, and they are still like the top notes and stuff are still there, and they're just lovely. And compared to the new one, which is all right, they are just much thicker and just lovely. To the point where it's almost a totally different experience wearing them. It's funny. I figured we'd probably get onto Koros. I actually got. I've owned it like throughout my time, and obviously like my dad used to wear it and whatever. But I sort of had a few bottles over the years, but it was only recently that I kind of decided that I was going to get a vintage one, and I actually ended up getting 3 from the same guy.
Oh, right.
And I don't really think he knew what he had. I think he did. He'd been on like one of those, like he'd searched through, but he said, "Oh no, they're spoiled." Right. And I said, "Well, you send them to me and I'll be the judge."
And I'll decide. Yeah.
Yeah. And he did. And they're fine.
They're not spoiled. That's just the way they're supposed to smell.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
I don't know, Rich, if you've ever smelled, there's a base called Animalis. Have you ever smelled Animalis?
I don't think so, no.
It's basically, sometimes when you're exploring these perfumery materials, you'll come across something that is so intrinsic to the vibe of a perfume. So you were talking the other day as well about masterpieces. Now I love Fahrenheit simply because it connects with me. It's a big part of my childhood. It was the first perfume that I asked my mum to buy for me. I got it for Christmas when I was like 8 or something like that. And I said, no, I want this, and she was like, right, okay, I'll get that for you. And so I've always had like a really kind of close relationship with it. So and if you smell, funnily enough, it was heavily restricted, so that's probably why there's been changes in the formulas and stuff. But there's a material called methyl octane carbonate, which as soon as you smell it, you just go, I completely understand the whole direction of why Fahrenheit was made, because it kind of is like the link between the violet and the petrol-y aspect, everything, right? I'm not saying it smells completely like, but you can completely understand where the idea comes from. So, and I actually got a friend of mine went to one of these grass. He goes every year, but to one of these perfumery schools, and one of his friends just on the course, because I said, "Oh, you haven't got any Fahrenheit formulas, have you?" And he gave me this Fahrenheit formula, and it's really quite simple. And I made it up, and it's fantastic. It's like really good. I think it's slightly greener. It doesn't have because there's this kind of hawthorn note, especially in the older versions. Like I've got a 90. I think the oldest one I've got is a 91 bottle, which I think is the second formulation. But it's so much different to the new ones. I don't think the new ones are that bad, to be honest. They're not.
Do you know what's really funny? Do you know what's really funny, right? Francois Demachy, right? There was the latest iteration of the eau de toilette is actually quite good, and it's a lot closer to the original than the formulation before the one that he did, and it's one of the only cases where somebody has reformulated a perfume and made it better.
Well, here we go. Because talking about IFRA and restrictions and whatever, I believe, now I know it's only in the last amendment, so I don't know when that particular reformulation happened, but methyl octane carbonate, and I'm not saying it's just that material that is, that's the reason why, but that has been de-restricted. So people like to talk about restrictions and how it's ruining perfume and all this kind of stuff, but they kind of don't talk about the fact that when more data becomes available, certain materials get de-restricted. So there's certain materials like hydroxycitronellol, which is in loads of kind of white floral accords and just loads of floral accords, that they can use significantly more now under the latest IFRA things than they could previously. So it's not all bad news. And I kind of go on forums and like tell people this and say, because there was big things about, oh, they're, you know, restricting the jasmine and, you know, all this. And it's like, how much jasmine do you really think is in Mugler? Because they're saying, oh, my favorite Mugler perfume is, you know, going to be ruined and all this. So I'm kind of like, how much real jasmine absolute do you think is in that formula? And the allowance for it, like, the amount that you have to use is really quite a tiny amount, and the allowance is here, and then it gets kind of reduced to here, so it really doesn't affect the perfumes as much as a sort of. All you have to do is, it's not difficult. You can go onto the thing and you can find out all this information. So when people are kind of, you know, scaremongering in forums and stuff and saying, oh, this is bad, some things are bad. Yeah, I mean, you know, obviously oak moss is heavily restricted, but they, to be honest, I mean, you know, the alternatives, yeah, okay, they're not quite as you're not going to get that kind of classic like cheaper feel and stuff to things, but there's definitely perfumes still that are mossy, you know, and yeah, I just don't think it's like that much of a huge big deal. And I'm kind of somebody, I don't like for example, people marketing things as anti-IFRA, or, you know, we're like renegades or like rogues or whatever. It's kind of there's a reason that those things, and again, I'm not like completely for all the restrictions and everything, because some of it, like I say, is based on slightly spurious scientific data, but most of the time it's done for the good of the consumer. And you can say, oh, well, it's a tiny amount of people that have allergic reactions and stuff. And that's true. And what, you're going to get a bit of like, you know, dermatitis or whatever, I don't know. But so, yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on it? Because I know you've...
Have you heard anything about politically behind IRFA's regulations? Is it in order for them to sell their own materials? Because I've heard some of that come up. Or is it more to protect the consumer?
What do you mean? Sorry, but IFRA's own materials. I mean, that is, it's literally a body that is made from the industry. So it's not.
So they don't sell any materials, naturals.
It's to stop them from. It's no. It's to stop them from getting sued. It's like self-regulation. What the real enemy is the European directive on. The real enemy is the European directive on cosmetic. Oh God, what the hell is it called? It's not IFRA. IFRA's a self.
It's sorry. So the European cosmetic regulation is, well, CLP. It's called.
Yeah, that's much more stringent. That was much more of a. Sorry?
Yeah, sorry, CPR it's called. So it's the because I work in biocides basically. So I'm I'm not a chemist, but I formulate. I have formulated surfactants and things like that for medical like purposes basically. So I make biocide products, so I have to be compliant with the biocide product regulations, but there's also the cosmetic product regulations, which are what covers and governs perfume. So I'm not 100% sort of au fait on all that. I know that they cross over in terms of you have to have compliant packaging, obviously all the things that are on the label, so the allergens and everything have to be on there. But yeah, sorry, go on. What were you saying anyway?
I could probably help out on the IFRA and the European thing. So basically, I think for this year until next year, I think there will be two major ones that will be changing. So you have Lyral and Lyal. I think majority of actually your fragrances, even your personal care items, they would have to be heavily reformulated because it's actually across majority of the ingredients. Now, probably the question that everybody's asking is what makes them decide to put a certain ingredient as part of the I don't want you to be part of my formula list. Unfortunately, looking at the science behind it, there's really no published papers, meaning, you know, a scientist cross, you know, getting it verified by another scientist, which is what we call as peer review. It's not being done. So basically, if there's a study coming out that this certain molecule at a high concentration, for that matter, poses a threat, whether it's an allergenic reaction or some asthmatic reaction or whatever, it's part of that list already. So I think that's the challenge that we're having. So even for me, you know, I get to have to reformulate my personal care items and my skincare items because of a certain study that was conducted by a scientist that was not peer reviewed. So that's just the challenge. Politics wise, it's possible. As we know, majority of the fragrance houses, the big fragrance houses, the board of directors of these conventions are owners or, you know, chairmen of these big fragrance houses. So it is possible, but right now, what's placed in that certain ingredient is just, you know, it lacks science backbone to it.
You know, there's nothing that I can do about restrictions, so I try not to bitch about it too much. Once in the odd time it gets to me, but I still try and enjoy everything modern and vintage and classic and whatever.
So Eugene, I actually have a question to everyone. You know, going back to fragrance and going back to recent purchases, because I saw people in the comments saying that, you know, Rich is talking about Lupin that nobody will be able to get, which I completely agree, because I have not yet gotten a bottle of Lupin. Because, you know, I think when everybody started talking about this discontinuance about the range, I wasn't able to get my hands on some of them. So probably, you know, I think what the quarantine has happened in COVID-19 with everybody stuck in their homes, and I'm seeing actually the trend that people are craving a lot of fragrances nowadays. So I thought that, you know, with the COVID virus happening, that the fragrance industry would be in a standstill and everybody would be making hand sanitizers forever. You know, that would be a nightmare. But I'm seeing actually the industry, especially the niche industry, some exclusive designers to be getting popular. So my question is, if you guys look back to the fragrances that you recently purchased, is there a specific ingredient or an accord that you guys are craving for? Probably also in the comment section, or, you know, are there also ingredients that you guys were craving for that? Because for me, for example, after buying a lot of fragrances nowadays, I realized that previously I didn't like gourmand, but now I'm suddenly into buying a lot of vanillas, heavy resins, something that reminds me about food. I'm not sure, but probably, you know, it's being stuck at home. It's just getting people to be like, you know, also smells of baked goods. So because, you know, you don't have access to a bakery that often, so that might be another reason for me. And for you guys, how about you guys?
So it sounds like you're looking for comfort from your fragrances, associating it with food and baked goods and sweets. For me, the things that I've enjoyed the most that I've purchased this year have been pretty much dirty, skanky, and floral. Although I haven't bought as much as I normally do, but that's usually nothing's really changed for me. I'm not in lockdown. I still go to work. I still go grocery shopping. And when I'm not doing those, I'm sitting at home by myself like I normally do. I like to isolate myself from people in the outside world. But yeah, so
I live in your phone though, don't I?
Yeah, as long as, you know, we've got that separation and distance, I'm okay. But there's not too many. So not a whole lot has changed for me. I'm still wearing and buying the things that I have always done so. But Rich, James, what's changed for you guys? Are you looking for
I'll let you
different
go,
things
James.
during the lockdown? Are you seeking comfort through different styles of perfume?
I'd say I'm seeking comfort through retail therapy, or just buying things online. I mean,
Yeah.
buying perfume online. I kind of said to myself, like most people probably do, I'm not going to buy, any for a period of time. But that's gone that's gone out the window pretty quickly, and then I've ended up like buying quite a lot in the last month or so. What have I bought? Funnily enough, I got a perfume from Ruth Mastenbrook, who is a British perfumer. She's done some stuff for a few brands here and there, I think. Nothing like major, but she's a trained perfumer who's worked in the industry, I believe. And her perfumes are spectacularly good for someone who's not really very well known. And I bought a small 30 ml from her of a perfume called shit, I can't remember what it's called now. Anyway, it's a beautiful, very complex sort of aromatic fragrance, I suppose. And it was leaking slightly when I got it. And again, I'm not like slagging the brand off or anything. They're a family business, and it was leaking ever so slightly. I think it was just a little bit was round the top where they'd sealed the thing on the sprayer. And I told them about it, and they sent me a new bottle straight away, and a load of other like bits and bobs. No, like, oh, take a picture of it or anything. It was just a good customer service experience where I felt valued, and I felt like that I'm not trying to diddle them. And I even said to them, look, I've got loads of perfume. I don't need another one of that particular one. I was just telling you for your own, I didn't lose any perfume from it. And they said, which other one do you want? And they sent it me. So good for them. And that's a nice
customer service. Shout out to them. I know Rich Mitch had issues with his Guerlain Encens Mythique bottle. His sprayer crapped out, and they sent him a completely new bottle. No question. They just asked him for the batch number. Didn't even ask for the bottle in return. I had two Dior Privés just in the last 3 months where the sprayers had completely crapped out. Nothing comes out. They'll pump, but nothing comes out. And I'm stuck with these. Who do I go to? Do I just take them back to a Dior boutique, or
I would get in touch. I would get in touch with Dior. Just go on the website and contact.
I don't know if Dior has a customer service here in Canada. They have one.
It shouldn't make any difference. It shouldn't make any difference. I got my Guerlain one from France. And I'm not even in the European Union.
One is my Oud Isfahan from the year of release, and it's definitely, I don't imagine it smells the same as what they're selling today. So, I would take
what you could do is what I'm going to do with my Encens Mythique. Do you know my Encens Mythique's fucked? The one that they've given us. Well, I've still got a whole bottle of it, and it's got real ambergris in it, and there's absolutely no way I'm chucking it. So what I'm going to do is I'm ordering. Do you know those bottles that you've got? All those sample bottles that you've been sent for your brand?
Right.
All you do is get a pair of pliers and just peel the sprayer off, right? Just peel that, just pull it off, and then just fill those bottles with your fucking with the juice inside. Because if that's a year of release, that's the only good one. Oud Isfahan was best in that first year because the weather in Isfahan's been shit for growing roses for the last 10 years. And that's why it feels like it's been neutered, but it hasn't. It's because they use real Isfahan rose, and the weather in Isfahan because of like climate change. The climate in Isfahan has been shit for the last 10 years for growing roses.
COVID hit early there, right?
Well, I mean, 10 years early. It's whether it's climate change or whether it's just fucking bad weather. I don't want to be political or fucking anything like that. But whatever it is. Right, it's the weather has been shit for growing roses in Isfahan, and when one of your main ingredients is a rose from Isfahan, that's a bit of a problem. So the first year was the best one. If I was you, I would do everything you can to save that. Just peel the sprayers off. That's really easy. Just get a small pair of pliers and just take them off and just peel it away gently.
All right. So,
and
Duck, to answer Jared's question, what kind of things have you been finding comfort in? Has your patterns changed at all? Like your behavior, anything's changed? Or are you still up on vintage?
Is this a perfume? Yeah. Is this a perfume question or a life question?
Well, I mean, we're going to talk about perfume because we know everything you do revolves perfume.
It's both, Rich.
It's both. As far as life's concerned, not much has changed. Obviously, I've got a bad back. I can't work. I'm stuck in bed most of the time because of my back. I'm waiting for treatment. So that's pretty much where I'm at with me back. And like what I've been doing for the past year is basically that. Living on very strong prescription pain medication and collecting perfume. It's rattling through me savings. Buying vintage perfume. And do you know what it is? In this last year with like the streams and talking to people and reaching out more and not being able to see like people in real life. So I've been like developed a new life online. I don't have any social media, as Eugene knows. I don't have like Instagram or Twitter or Facebook. YouTube's the only thing because I can't sit up to watch TV. So I basically have to like, when I say I can't sit up, I can sit up. I'm sitting up now, but I can't sit up for long periods of time to like watch television. So I end up watching YouTube videos all the time. And I've always been into fragrances and Fragcom. I've just got more heavily into it now. So like what I've done is I've basically cultivated my hobby more, if that makes sense. To me, that's become like a very large part. And that's something that like the doctors will ask you as well. They're like, oh, have you got a hobby? And I'm like, yes. And when I tell them what my hobby is, yeah, it's not just a distraction. Yeah, well, it's not just a distraction. I think when you say that things are a distraction from your suffering, I think it's to put it down a little bit. That there's value in it. There's good value in it. It's a good thing. Maybe not buying the amount of perfume. Maybe I've taken it too far. I think that's right. But I think when you say that it's a distraction, I'm not talking about like me personally. I'm just talking about just generally. I think when you just like reduce it down to like a distraction, it's not just a distraction. I get like a lot of joy from it. I get like a sense of community. I get a sense of like all those like
distraction, and then it's whatever feelings come up for you is the way you take it, right?
Yeah. I get it. I don't feel distracted by it. I feel like it's something that I do for joy. I enjoy talking to Eugene, even though I don't agree with him about almost anything perfume wise. And I like meeting new people.
All right, you're out of here.
Get me back.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
The same goes, but we can do it in a respectful way. Still remain friends.
Will in the comments has just said it keeps Mitch off the street buying bags of oak moss for a few quid. I'm sniffing oak moss. It's going straight up my nose. But no, that's why I really like love like this. It provides it gives us a lot of joy. It gives us a sense of community and stuff, and it's a shared passion. It's a proven thing. It's the same reason that religions work. When you've got a shared goal, it taps into your human nature. David Santiago wants to know what women marketed perfumes have I discovered. I don't have many women marketed perfumes. It's something I need to look into. I don't know whether that's just my taste, or whether it's like a prejudice, or whether it's I don't know. But I really do. I'll tell you something that I've got that I feel is very feminine, almost too feminine for us. I've got one of the original 1984 bottles of Gentleman Cologne by Amouage. I'll put it on screen. Hold on.
Nice.
Just 2 seconds. You see that? Put us on full screen, Eugene.
You're telling me Gentleman Cologne, something called Gentleman Cologne is feminine?
Is that
honestly? It's so sorry.
That's the original gold, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's so floral.
Gold Man.
Yeah, it's this. Well, I don't know if this is Gold Man, but it's called Gentleman's Cologne, and it's Amouage, and it's so floral. And I'm not a big fan of florals, so
I think it was by Guy Robert, that one, wasn't it?
Guy Robert, right? Yeah, it was one of his last perfumes. Yeah, it's beautiful. But I don't think I'll ever wear it. I don't think I would ever wear it, but it is absolutely beautiful.
Wait,
yes,
that's the original Gold Man?
Apparently so.
There's nothing feminine about that perfume.
This is incredibly. I don't know if this is I don't know if this is the original Gold Man or not, but it's Gentleman's EDT. It's got Amouage written on the front, and it's got some Arabic writing, which I can't decipher because I don't speak Arabic.
That was the original 80s one, and then I think it was quite considerably after that they changed it to Gold Man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's the
same. Have you ever smelled this, James?
I've never smelled that old one. No, the oldest Gold Man that I smelled was probably mid 2000s, maybe, or whenever they relaunched it.
Right. It's pretty floral and pretty. It's pretty. But it's also it strikes me as something that would be like for like a more like not necessarily a more mature woman, but a very classy woman. A woman who had a lot of money and wouldn't talk to you if you said hello to her. It's really, really good. It smells like, do you know what? I'll tell you one thing. I'll tell you something, right? It smells like it's too good for us. I like more sort of like, I like perfumes that are more like down to my level. Serge Lutens, like sometimes with Serge Lutens, as much as I love Serge Lutens, I feel as though like some of them are a bit like too good. Pina wants to come on. Pina wants to come on. Drop the link, Eugene, and I think she wants like a lass. We'll get our first lady on.
Rich, do you like dirty perfumes like fecal?
Like Leather Oud.
You like Leather Oud, right?
Yeah, to a point, I like fecal and shitty perfumes. It's got to be done right. If it's just a big smack of shite, no. If it smells like someone shat on me chest, no, I don't like it.
Have you? It brings up some bad experiences.
Did you get those guitars in the end from
Mellifluence? Yes, I did. Yes, beautiful.
Right.
Yeah, they are. He's really good. He's a local lad as well. He lives about 20 minutes away. I had no idea. He's a Geordie. Yeah, he's from Shiremoor. I shouldn't have said that. Sorry. He's from Newcastle.
Yeah.
He's a really good lad, as Alex or Abdullah. Sorry, I should say.
Yeah.
How do you two guys feel about Animalic, James and Jared? How do you guys feel about dirty perfumes? Let's call them barnyardy or fecal, challenging perfumes.
I actually enjoy them. I own quite a lot.
Any favorites?
Well, probably the recent one I got, but this one was bespoke one. I was able to get my hands on real Laotian oud. So I had my perfumer locally develop something with rose and with frankincense. So it was divine. And another one, I think what I enjoy would be leather oud. That would be also nice. Another fragrance that doesn't have oud but it's more animalic would be Zing. That one would be by Artisan. That would be something that I also enjoy. So yeah, I enjoy the dirtiness across the different variations of dirt, whether they're the raunchier types or whether they're the white musk version. Yeah, I enjoy them all.
What about you, James?
I enjoy them, and this is another sort of aspect of appreciating perfumery. I enjoy them, but I don't necessarily want to wear them. I think when we're talking Gold Man, the first time I tried Gold Man, like I say, it was a long time ago, not as old as that bottle that you've got. But the first time I tried it, beautiful for the first literally 12 hours. I mean, it is a brutally strong perfume, but it's that baby powder, really elegant, beautiful, kind of Guy Robert style sort of thing. And then literally the next day, you smell of shit. It's that kind of, and the thing is, I've got some real civet. I don't necessarily moralize about real naturals and stuff. I don't like particularly things where I don't have to use them. You should, I don't kind of, if people like them, then fine. But I just choose kind of, to use like replacements or whatever. But I do have some real civet, and it's completely different from the replacement. But I would say the smell of the Gold Man smells more like civet replacer than it does real civet. Real civet's got like a kind of almost like a like cheesy sort of quality, like a kind of blue cheese, very like almost like sort of bad meat, like something like that.
Yeah, like a rotten.
Yeah, it's not right, but also it's fascinating and you want to smell it, and that's the same with these perfumes. Like there's that one, that DUCC one, the Oud
Anubis.
Infinity.
Yeah, which beautiful perfume. It's a really beautiful thing, but I can't wear it.
Yeah.
I'd love to find a good old bottle of Gold Man. Like I don't know what the current smells like, but I remember smelling like the earlier releases, and I thought it was fantastic. Not something I'd want to wear all the time, but extremely pissy. It's like pissy and aldehydic from what I remember.
Yeah, Eugene. So basically, Goldman, because it was created by Guy Robert. He has a similar backbone similar to Kalesh, by Hermes. It's also in a way a little bit very similar to Superstitious by Frederick Malle, with a civet backbone to it. So you have that floral aldehyde with a civet backbone. So it's a little bit pissy, a little bit urinal. But the civet basically goes away, and then you're left with just floral. So I think I would definitely understand what Rich would say, that his vintage version would be heavy on the florals. Probably the civet, Rich, might have toned down through time.
Yeah, the what it smells like, because I've never actually fully given it like a full wearing. I've never got that really, really strong pissy vibe, but there's like you can feel its shadow. You can feel its shadow. It's lurking somewhere deep there in the background, waiting to come out and get you while you sleep.
Right.
It's an animal.
And
Sorry.
Going back to dirtiness and animalics, Eugene, I was just realizing, just thinking when you guys were just talking, that actually all great perfumes should really have an animalic note to it. And I think if we look at it on a perspective that on florals, for example, because great florals, like jasmine, ilang-ilang, sometimes rose, orange blossoms, nerolies, they all have indoles, which basically are is part of that chemical that makes your that the turd smells like turd, right? So so essentially even florals actually are, in a way, if you put it that way, are animalic, are dirty.
They can be, absolutely.
Right. And then of course you have spices that smells like body odor that is also in a way dirty. So if you really put it that way, when I look at my fragrances that I really enjoy, I wouldn't classify them as an animalic perfume, but they do have that string of dirtiness that's, I think, important, that will, because if it doesn't, and I think when I'm asking, because I also partnered with someone locally to develop perfumes, and then when I realized that when he doesn't put anything animalic or doesn't put anything dirty within the backbone of the fragrance, it becomes like air freshener. So it doesn't stick to your skin. It doesn't also make it feel like it's part of you. It feels like you're just a walking diffuser. So it doesn't smell right. So I think, yeah, Animalics, I think is and the smell of dirtiness and the smell of a human person is important when they make a fragrance.
Perfectly stated. Absolutely. I second that. Right. I think all florals are improved vastly. Certainly you have to know what you're doing with them, but by that animalic element. So civet. This is why I have a bit of a problem with some perfumes that just use, like, they may have a really resinous kind of dark sort of perfume, and then they'll just go, yeah, we want to make it animalic. I think really most of this sort of animalics, and not, you know, this is not a rule across the board, but most of the time, animalics should only really be in floral perfumes. I think, because in like, for example, you were talking about Francesco Bianchi the other day, right? And I've been kind of quite vocal, and I've had some grief from people who fucking love it, right? And they give me a hard time about it. I didn't like it. But I just thought that things like my skin and stuff like that, there's no like floral element for then there to be loads of like spit in it. Do you know what I mean? So it almost like sinks like a stone to the bottom of the composition. And really, what
she's in a rush. She feels like her perfumes feel like she's in a rush to get to the dirty part. Like she wants to just skip the foreplay. She really just wants to like just get to the filth. And I don't mean that in like a sexual way. I mean that in like the perfume plate. She's just like, there's no sort of come hither.
Yeah. I think, like, if we were talking about Liz Moore's, then you would mean it in a sexual way. Is that right?
Well, fucking Liz Moore's. There's a couple of reasons to like Liz Moore's, isn't there?
Here we go.
And actually, Rich, just going back to niche perfumery, you know, I really don't actually appreciate a lot of perfumers that I call them lazy perfumers. Wherein, oh yeah, I was able to find a really great ingredient. I was able to get this, and then they just basically, you know, color using child crayon type color. So it's not very refined. It's not very balanced. And I actually agree that there are some that you guys mentioned a while ago that are a little bit heavy-handed, as I would say. And I would really like that some of our niche perfumery would be a little bit more balanced and not just be overshadowed by the fact that they're using high-quality ingredients.
Absolutely.
There needs to have some technical expertise still in the creation of their fragrances. So that
do you know?
And
sorry, what I was going to say was, do you know who the worst offender is? Do you know who the worst offender is for that?
Who?
Russian Adam. Russian Adam. Russian Adam is the worst offender. Sorry?
You're preaching to the choir here, because, like I say, there's another one that I've sort of slagged off, right? Because I don't think he's very good, right? And again, I don't mean to. I respect the fact that he distills all the stuff, and he, you know, knows a lot about oud and all this kind of thing. But I don't think his compositions are good. They're I mean, I got that. I've tried them from pretty much every collection that they've done. Like every time they do these collections, I bought the samples from the 5th one, and they were rubbish. They really were. Like, materials, they smell like they're aged. Right? Some things they shouldn't go in a perfume just because they're aged. It smells like a you know, a taxi cab seat, like from, you know, like a Ford Orion, I think I said, like some kind of, like, you know, when you could smoke in cars, or like you get a taxi and they'd be having a fag and a, you know, with a beaded seat, like just horrible.
Yeah, he's I got the 6th collection, which had the Quai de Rus in, and it just smelled like a grandmother's kitchen, like a grandmother. Like it smelled like cabbage. It wasn't a good perfume. I've never been impressed with anything he's done.
That leaves supposed to be almond perfume, right? The Quid Rusty from the new one. That was awful, right? And I stand by that. I think the only one that I like, right, and talking about Animalic perfumes, was the Siberian Musk too, because it has a little bit of Dana Taboo to it, which is, you know, quite accomplished. But again, I think, I don't know. I think most of the stuff he does, the Oris one from the 5th collection, and some of the others, but you know, if you're using those materials, I honestly don't see that. Some of them are too heavily reliant on those rare natural materials, and you're not.
Do you know, if he put his hand in his pocket and employed a perfumer, there would be spectacular because of the ingredients. But the fact is he tries to do it all himself, and it's a shame to say it, because I mean he's an indie guy, but he's an indie guy who's made it. It's not as if we're like tackling somebody at, like, we're not trying to kill it at birth. Do you know what I mean? He's established now, so he's out there, and the prices he charges, he can't sit there and say that he can't take criticism. The fact of the matter is, his perfumes aren't worth what he's asking for. The materials might be, but the blends aren't. Like, the actual technical expertise just isn't there. We were talking about masterpieces the other day. I think he peaked really early with his first couple of lines. You know, the first collection, the second collection. Yes, yeah. Tower peaked really early. Tower's actually a much better perfumer. So I don't want to lump them in with Russian Adam, but Tower's, like, obviously his first 2 or 3 releases were incredible, and he's never reached those heights again. But it's hard to, when you create like a reference perfume like LDDM.
Yeah, I had a chance to try the Arish. He sent me a sample pack, and I didn't think any of them were horrible, but I didn't think any of them were outstanding either. Now, I never got a chance. I never wore them fully. I gave the samples away, but just off the top, I thought, you know, there's nothing that really stood out to any of them. I thought the Cuir de Russie it had a nice birch tar accord to it from what I remember. But other than that, they all kind of felt like, you know, they were just up and down, like not really doing anything special. Now, I tried the collection before that one. I thought it was a little bit more entertaining, a little bit more interesting. There was a few that I really liked. I don't remember the names right now, but the last one, I didn't think there was anything fantastic either. And I agree with Rich. Like, maybe he is pushing too fast, too far, or kind of reaching, and should take his time.
So I know I know Eugene, this channel is very influential. So actually, I actually would what I would like actually that the perfume houses would do is something similar to Julian Rasquinet. Why did I bring up his name? It's because, you know, he was trained in France, but by IFF. But if you look at it, he's stationed in Dubai and he's making perfumes for the Middle Eastern market. But he still has that French backbone. So what would I prefer? I would actually like a lot of inclusiveness with the French perfume houses. What does it mean? It means that, for example, could they train a Japanese person to go to France and train perfumery there and then come back and develop something? Or even a Filipino perfumer, for that matter. And I think the perfume industry would, because I think a lot of it would be, you know, French perfume is the best perfume. We would have to only hire French trained perfumers. But there's some aspect of truth to that, because from a technical backbone, they train well. But I think looking at cultural influences and how perfume has globalized nowadays, I would really prefer a lot more, not just native French people making perfume, but I actually would prefer a lot more perfumers getting exposed to that technical mastery of French perfumery, and then trying to create their own, personalized, cultural sense of perfume. That would be my wish for the perfume industry.
Which would be great, and we can have perfumers from all over. But I see what you're saying, that most of the best perfumers are French and they are from France. I don't think that has to be the case, though. It's just a block holding people back. Anybody can become a world-class perfumer regardless of their nationality. It's just really a mindset that they got to get over. But I think because perfume was born in France, and that's where it's always kind of been, and it's been hard to break out of that. But you see in the last 20 years with the internet that it's starting to grow worldwide. Like Russian Adam, I guess he's Russian. You got perfumers coming out of the US now, small indie houses that are growing daily. Italians always had their foot in the door with perfume, but they're making a name for themselves as well. So I think with time, you'll eventually see that perfumers coming from all over the world, and they'll be known. There'll be known names.
So Eugene, I think majority of your audiences would like to know, how is your fragrance doing?
I've got nothing to tell you. I'll start seeing submissions probably early next month.
Are you going to be doing like the Apple uncovery of having, oh, here's my new perfume?
Sorry, what's that?
Are you going to do like the Apple stage type of, going on stage, walking out, here's my perfume?
I don't know what any of that means, but when they're ready,
Do you know when? Do you know when Apple releases a product? Apple releases a product, and the bloke walks out with his turtleneck thingy, and he gives like a speech and stuff. That's what he means.
I don't, honestly, I'm not even that far ahead. Like, I haven't planned any kind of parade, or I've still got lots of work to do before I get to that stage, but
right.
It's all exciting nonetheless.
But right now, Eugene, seriously, on that question, so you're right now on the formulation stage still?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's the toughest, because I think what everybody doesn't know is that when Eugene tries to develop a fragrance, he doesn't just look at it from a perspective of, oh yeah, it smells nice. But the question is, will it smell nice over time? And then will it smell nice when I sell it in Dubai with the temperature there? So he also needs to look at it from a stability standpoint. So yeah, you're making a fragrance isn't going to be automatic that the perfumer is going to be able to give him a lot of options, and then sell it and then bottle it right away. There needs to have some sort of quality check to it still. So that's the one that takes a lot of time, which is around 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be stability tests and toxology tests, and all that stuff is included, and it's all incorporated into the, into the amount of time the perfumer needs to prepare everything. But we're looking, I don't know, maybe the end of the year at the absolute earliest, maybe a year from now.
Yeah, I think everybody can't wait to not just smash that button, but to buy your fragrance. I think that would be interesting.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited, and I get, feelings come up for me all the time. Sometimes I get worried, and then sometimes I don't even think about it. There's often times where I've got so much other things going on where it's not even a thought. But yeah, it comes up for me quite often. I'm curious. I don't know what they're going to smell like either. And I can only hope that they're going to be everything that I dream and imagine them to be. But I have full confidence in the perfumer and his ability. So,
well, from an audience perspective, and I think also from someone in the industry, honestly, so probably yes, my expectations are high in terms of your perfume, that it's high quality, but I think I'm also going to be a little bit conservative in my expectation, and I think I would recommend that for most of the audience today, that to I think when everyone's expecting a fragrance from Eugene, they might be expecting, oh, their pants might fall off, their head will blow off, and I think, and if I look at it that way, yeah, I might definitely get disappointed. But you know, you have to remember that it's not just the perfumer that's experienced, but it's also the one who actually invests in the perfume that also has to look into it, which in this case would be Eugene. And obviously, if you're starting out with a perfume, you would try to make it a little bit, I wouldn't say safe, but probably I would try to make it a little bit more commercially appreciated as well. If I would be in Eugene's shoes. So I don't think it would be at upfront strong animalic notes. I think he would probably start off with a more balanced accord. Am I right, Eugene?
Well, on the contrast, you know, one is going to be wearable, but the other two will be balls to the wall. And they're going to be like everything that I'd want from a perfume. I've told the perfumer to, you know, make them daring. If you want to make them challenging, by all means. I gave them like a set of guidelines of things that I like and what I want them to interpret. And it's just, you know, time's going to tell. We'll see. We'll see what they're going to smell like.
Well, we wish you luck for your new fragrance journey. Just let us know if you need any help. We'll be glad to give you some advice if you need it. But I don't think so, because I'm sure you guys have enough people there giving you advice. And I think the fragrance partner that you might be partnering with already has his network of people that can actually assist you on a more professional level.
Yeah. There's lots of people around that are going to help everything come together. Right. But thank you, Jared. Thank you for asking.
So speaking of masterpiece, just going back to that topic, I really believe that Bleu de Chanel, though people will hate me, is a masterpiece.
All right, why? Why do you think Bleu de Chanel is a masterpiece? Well, and is there any concentration in particular, or just in general?
Well, the original, I think, was it EDT or I think it was the EDT that came out. But if you really look at it, okay, technical wise, Bleu de Chanel is a technical masterpiece. Whether you want to say, you know, whether you don't like to say it's a technical genius or whatever, technically it's refined. It's there. If probably you were not able to smell a Bleu de Chanel in the past, you would probably like, oh yeah, this is really a nicely crafted perfume. Was it a reference point back in the day? Yes, if you really put it that way, Bleu de Chanel actually created this whole blue trend that everybody is now trying to copy and have as a reference point. Is it a cultural icon? Yeah, in a way it is. So if you really put it that way, then Bleu de Chanel is a modern masterpiece, if you put it that way. Artistically, does it connote any emotion for you? Well, obviously, if you guys are into
a shower,
florals, florals, animalics, all of those stuff, obviously it will not have any emotion. But I think the emotional aspect to it, Eugene, is very subjective to the person smelling the perfume. But if you really put it in a certain, you know, I have a checklist of what a masterpiece is that will cut across a larger set of population. I think it would be something that Galen said yesterday on the technical refinement to it, the reference point in a point of time, and I think that one would connote that, you know, Bleu de Chanel would probably be a masterpiece.
Okay, guys,
I noticed something the other day when obviously you were talking about the masterpieces, that I think you tended to find it easier to say what wasn't a masterpiece than what was.
It's hard to put a definition or a set of guidelines on a masterpiece.
Yeah, it's hard. It's very
interpret things differently. But if you've got a perspective, I'd love to hear what it is.
I'm fairly sort of lenient. I don't want to go around saying that my personal masterpieces are very few and far between, but I think generally for other people, again, you can call whatever you want a masterpiece, but I think commercially successful perfumes like Bleu de Chanel or even Baccarat Rouge 540, right? I don't personally like it that much. I when I first tried it, I like the saffron element, right? And I like the fact that it meets the brief of what it was doing, which was to make it's like the crystal has to get to like 540 degrees or something like that. And I smell sort of heat in it because it's very sweet. It's like it's like that kind of like if you've got sugar in a pan, you know, that kind of like making you know, caramel or whatever.
Caramelized.
Yeah. And funnily enough, I got a formula only a few weeks ago. And well, I'll just going back. Do you know those Making a Stink? They're like a couple on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah.
I kind of saw a video of them slagging off Francis Kirkchan and like basically saying that all the perfumes are shit. And I don't necessarily 100% disagree with that because I don't own any from the Maison Francis Kirkchan, not a one, right? But I think to give technical critique on the perfumes, as Cami was on there, saying that they were shit, basically, I think was a little bit unfair, right? Because they're clearly not shit because they have massive, they appeal to a huge group of people, and they somehow that overly sweet, cloying mess that some people would hate is really appealing to some people. And from a technical point of view, like I say, I got a formula from a guy who did a GCMS analysis on it, and then he obviously made his own formula from it, and it's very simple, very, very simple formula. But I think that's what
it feels simple.
Yeah, and that's what
I think that's where the beauty comes from, is its simplicity.
Absolutely. And I think, and it's even more brave to use materials that aren't like a captive or, you know, things that are readily available that somebody can copy. I think that was really out there to just go, no, this is my, I came, and you said this the other day, Eugene, somebody can copy something 99% of what it was, but it wasn't the original inspiration that came from the human being that made it, right? So I wrote this huge scrolling message to Making a Stink on the thing saying, this is why, you know, I was very respectful, but I just said, like, basically, I think you're being a bit hard on Kirkchan because he's done, you know, like, for example, Fleur de Mal, you know, a kind of animalic orange blossom. He's done, you know, he's done good, like, perfumes, and arguably Baccarat Rouge 540 is one of them. So I kind of went on this whole and they just said, yeah, agree to disagree. I was like, I wanted a big debate about it. Do you know what I mean? I wanted to go into details. Anyway, the formula itself, so it's mainly ambroxan. So it's Ambrox Super, which is more of a kind of salty, ambergris type ambroxan, rather than like a Stettalox or something like that, which is a bit more like woody. So they're all basically the same thing, but they're slightly different. So it's mainly that and Hedione, loads of Hedione, and loads of ethyl maltol. So and Evernil as well, which is like synthetic oat moss. So those things coming together. Now, if you looked at that formula and went, look how much ethyl maltol's in it, I would go, that would be a horrible perfume, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Awful, right? But because of the interaction between that and the kind of almost like it's kind of a what did I call it? Like it almost makes it savory. It kind of gives it, like, takes some of the edge off the sweetness of the ethyl maltol. And it's such a simple idea as well to do something like that, but only a perfumer who's really sort of finessed and really confident in what they're doing can make something so simple and such a, and it's been this huge hit. Like I say, personally, I would never buy it. I don't even really like wearing it. I mean, like I say, I made it up the other day and was like, yeah, it's too much for me. But it's fascinating, and if somebody called it a masterpiece, I'd go fair enough, you know?
Yeah. I think calling something shit or junk is really a personal decision, and it's not, we don't get to define what a perfume is classified as. But I personally think technically Baccarat Rouge 540 is brilliant. Is it a masterpiece or not? I don't know. Maybe in time we'll tell, but I love how he's absolutely cranked up the synthetics on that, and it throws off of you like a fire siren, I don't smell it here, but I smell it from the outside coming in. And if there's anything, like there's some jasmine in there, and you get, light hints of jasmine or pine fir, but what you really pick up are those synthetics, the ambroxan and the cotton candy. And, those sweet type of fragrances aren't my thing either. But, from the perspective of an enthusiast, I can say this is fucking awesome and I love it. So, and that's it.
I actually agree with James. I think it doesn't have
like
to. You don't have to wear it. You don't have to buy it for you to call it a masterpiece. And for me, for example, for me personally, when I going back to Bleu de Chanel, I don't wear it that often. But I think I've reached a point in my fragrance journey that I've come to already respect some of the fragrances in the past that I was dissing myself. And I think, a lot of people put a lot of hard work in making the fragrances, especially designer. So if I really look at it in that perspective, probably I started my journey as a fragrance snob. And I think most of us here in this journey, because we have a lot of niche perfumes that are coming out left and right. We would like to have the exclusive product that's available. We would like to have the best ingredients possible. But if you really retrospect, you could have been happy with. You could be happy with. For example, for me, I enjoy Kiehl's Original Musk. For example, it doesn't have to be expensive for me to actually enjoy perfumes in retrospect.
Mm-hmm.
I agree, but what I like about it is because it was really the first to do that kind of thing, and then since then we've seen, many others. But almost like when I think of it, I'm not familiar with the Molecule series, but that's kind of what comes to mind, and I'm wondering if he took some of that from Molecule.
Actually, Eugene, I think it resembles in a way the Comme des Garçons ranges. Because Comme des Garçons was created much earlier than Baccarat Rouge. And if you actually smell fragrances like Odeur 51, is it 51 or 71? If you go back to that type of indie synthetic molecule type of fragrance, you would see some semblance to how he created Baccarat Rouge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you
All
like Comme des Garçons, Eugene?
Sorry?
Do you like Comme des Garçons as a brand?
I have respect for them. I think they're a little bit too synthetic for me to wear on a daily basis, and I can respect that from our artistic point of view, but I really do like my finer French things.
Yeah.
I like my florals and spices and woods, and although I appreciate smelling like a dusty garage, I'd rather have it as a reference than smell like a dusty garage.
Yeah, I agree with Eugene. It's so difficult actually for me personally to find a time to wear the fragrance.
Yeah.
But what I do enjoy, Eugene, would be the Incense series of Comme des Garçons. Those are beautiful. Especially the Kyoto one, which sadly I think I've already have consumed a bottle of it, which is rare, given how many fragrances I also own personally. So yeah, I enjoy that series, and I think it's very synthetic in terms of the molecules that they use there. But anyway, it was brilliant to create it. And I think that's what I was saying, that you don't have to have the best ingredients, but if you're able to really create the artistry around the molecules that you use, I think that one I would appreciate more.
Yeah.
That's another thing about materials as well. I personally, and I like I say, I've had a lot of debates with people about this, that I value the artistry as much as the materials. So I don't demand that there's, rose otto or, expensive natural mistakes. Like some people get really, I think that was part of the, to be fair, the criticism of the Maison Francis Kurkdjian, the Making Stink guys were making, that essentially they're very expensive perfumes that use extremely cheap materials. And my argument is, well, it's the artistry and the person bringing those very cheap materials together to make something that's more than the sum of its parts. So, you could have like, like an artist obviously could make stuff from found materials that have no real intrinsic value, but as part of a piece of art, it becomes let's say more, well, they can essentially charge what they want for it, depending on the reputation of that artist or whatever. So yeah, within reason, like I say, I don't spend, like certain perfumes out of my price range, right? Just regardless of how much I like them. But I don't always get the criticism of it's using cheap materials, so therefore, I shouldn't pay a high price for it.
Let me ask you all this. Would something like Baccarat Rouge 540 be possible or even be in existence today if it wasn't for IFRA banning materials and vintages kind of, going the way they are?
Good point, Eugene. I think it wouldn't. And I think if Francis Kurkdjian would have the ingredients, that would have the oak moss, would have all of these heavier, this nitro musks, I think he wouldn't be able to use it. But wait a minute, I have to I have to also retrospect. I think what would happen, Eugene, would be, because the ingredients would still be readily available for everyone to use, obviously a lot of the perfumers would focus first on a much heavier base, right? So I'm trying to simulate what will happen. So everybody will go back to the 80s of having heavier fragrances, something similar to Poison, something similar to Kuros. So the heavier fragrances that obviously IFRA has banned most of the active ingredients there. But what will happen, Eugene, is that there would still come a time wherein you would have this transition of new fragrance perfumers that would prefer minimalism, would prefer a more focused thought pattern. You would still have the Elenas of this world coming out into play, because they would say, you know what? Yeah, even if we're not banned, we would like to have some self-restraint. So if I really put it, that would Baccarat Rouge exist? Probably not in its original form, that what you smell now. There would definitely be some ingredients now that he would happily use apart from certain ingredients. But would that straightforward minimalism still come out? Yes, I think that would still happen.
Guys?
Yeah, I had to recreate 2 decades in my head just to be able to answer your question.
Yeah, it's like they're almost being forced into creating synthetics now that they're losing materials. But Ambroxan has been along, it's been around for quite a while, hasn't it? It's not something that's come with IFRA. It's I think it's been here before that.
That's right. How about James and Rich?
I think when it comes to the restrictions, I think it drives innovation, because a lot of you could argue, would a lot of these molecules be being made if there wasn't kind of a drive for the use of them? Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's kind of my point.
All right.
It's
Rich?
almost as if you have never smelled Lamal. Lamal's probably one of the most synthetic perfumes I've ever smelled in my entire life.
That's right.
Like Francis Coeur de Jean would make Baccarat Rouge to me is Lamal too. It is incredibly synthetic. It is vulgar in itself, and I think that is Coeur de Jean's style. I think he likes to get a little bit vulgar, a little bit over the top. I think he's very good at reading a room, as far as perfume's concerned. And I think he doesn't necessarily like some of the things that he produces. I think Coeur de Jean likes making. I think Coeur de Jean knows what he's good at, and he knows how to use the chemicals that he uses. But I don't necessarily think he seems to enjoy what he makes. I don't think he would wear anything that he's ever made. But I think he knows what other people want, and I think he knows how to give it to them.
Do you like
sorry?
Your Eau Noir?
I haven't got it. It's Coeur de Jean as well. There's another thing about Coeur de Jean. He does his best work for other people.
Yeah.
He doesn't do his best work. Like, his best work isn't in his house. He's sort of like the anti-Eleanor. He does things with a very heavy touch, but also very, very graceful, very good at what he does. I agree. Technically, he's very sound.
Yeah.
And he's one of the best of his generation.
So I think, Rich, if you guys want to smell a really good Francis Coeur de Jean range, I would recommend that if you guys can still look for the Elie Saab essences range.
Yeah.
Galen talks about it in his channel, I think. And I think it has a combination of everything that happens. If you have a very good, technically trained perfumer, you have great ingredients, and if you combine that too, I think you would really enjoy the Elie Saab essences range.
I just think Coeur de Jean. I think Coeur de Jean's race is run.
But the good thing, I think
I
think he has become I would say this. I would hire Francis Coeur de Jean. Why? Because if I would be a fragrance house and this perfumer can turn ordinary cheap ingredients into something that people would buy 10 times the price, I would hire him in a heartbeat. So I think his expertise lies in trying to create something from trash.
So you'd hire him if you're a capitalist.
That's what Francis Coeur de Jean is good at.
So you'd hire him to produce money to create, things that sell. But as an enthusiast, you yourself, would you buy his stuff?
No, I wouldn't. I think right now, if I look at my collection, if I look at fragrances that he has made, I've gotten most of the Elie Saab ranges. I've also gotten the Dior Privé that he developed back then when Hedi Slimane was the creative director for the men's range. So you have items such as Bois d'Argent. You have Cologne, not Cologne Royale.
Blanche.
It's the Cologne Blanche.
Cologne Blanche.
And then I think there's one more that I'm missing.
He also did Dior Homme Cologne.
Yeah, Un Noir.
No, Dior Homme Cologne.
Yeah, that's right.
And Rich kind of pointed that out the other day. I thought it was Olivier Polge, but Rich said it was Kyrgyz, and I was completely like floored, absolutely surprised. He's on a 1 to 10 ratio for me, maybe even 1 to 15 of things that I feel like are worthy of buying. And I much prefer his older stuff to modern.
I think for Captain
Yeah.
Blimp, he might already be in the deodorant industry because his Frederick Malle range has extended into body deodorants.
I think Blimp was being sarcastic when he said, I think he meant kind of like permanently into deodorant.
Oh, I see. I won't
Either
be
that
surprised. I
or
won't be surprised
detergent.
if he's already doing so.
I think somebody said like somebody's like crossed the line. Like we've discussed this before, Eugene, about who you would have as the perfumer for the next Frederick Malle, and it would be interesting to see what Kurdejan came out with for Frederick Malle.
Wow.
Yeah. It
See,
would be interesting to see.
That could work because, like we've said, he's always done his best work under other brands, and you pit him with another enthusiast like Frederick Malle to see what they can come up together would be fascinating. I would be excited for something like that.
Actually, you know what? I would always imagine Frederick Malle as like an Egyptian slave driver. And then he would be saying to Francis, no, 40 more revisions. This is not enough. This is not good. And I could imagine him saying that to Dominic Ropion behind, while Dominic is smelling all his fragrance strips, you have Frederick Malle breathing blood down his neck. This is not yet perfect.
No more white fucking musk. No more nitro musk. Yeah, that'd be funny.
I'd like to see what Thierry Vasset would do with Frederick Malle as well.
Yeah.
It'll never happen, but I think it would be interesting if he did.
Yeah. There's a few people that I'd love to see connect and see what they can come up with. Jacques Polge would be one of my favorites.
Yeah, but I think right now, who's he? I think the newest one that they brought in would be Anne Filippo, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Is that already been released or discussed?
No. She hasn't. Well, she has initially released some room fresheners under the Frederick Malle range, but nothing yet for human consumption. And I think that would have more feminines coming out. But actually, knowing Anne Filippo, she as a master perfumer, she would probably make some good ones.
Yeah, I can see that.
Roger Bird is not a perfumer. What do you think of Roger Bird, James?
Well,
and let's keep it respectful.
Yeah. I mean, do you know what? As sort of contrarian kind of person that I am, and I do say a lot of, kind of not outrageous stuff, but I just speak my mind, and I kind of talk shit about people sometimes. But I think as far as he's concerned, he's a charismatic front man of the brand. It may all be bullshit. Well, it is all bullshit. Let's have it right. And some people are genuinely like offended by that whole like pretending to be a perfumer and stuff, and I am to some extent. But I also kind of, with a sort of brand like that, I don't really care as much as let's say there's a brand in the UK, and again I don't mind slagging her off, right? Because called Azzy Glasner. Have you heard of her?
Never.
Her line is called The Perfumer's Story. And I actually...
that rings more of a bell.
Yeah, the Perfumer's Story, they're in Harvey Nicks and Harrods, I think. No, yeah, I think.
Oh, God.
But they're she's like a darling. She's like a kind of Sloaney, kind of hangs out with like she's like a London socialite. She hangs out with like fucking, I don't know, Johnny Depp. She was at like Glastonbury with him, been like designing perfumes for people. And if you pay her 10 grand,
I totally get it. You can explain it to them, but I know exactly the shit you're talking about.
Yeah. So basically, and her whole social media is full of that stuff. And she did 2 perfumes, right? One with a guy called James Lavelle, who is a kind of musician that I liked from, like, you know, he did a record with DJ Shadow in the 90s, which I loved. And so I bought his perfume because he's just like a friend of hers, and they did a perfume together. And I mean, it's okay. And I bought another one, which was Anthony Gormley, the sculptor. So he did a collaboration.
He did the Angel of the North, didn't he?
He did do the Angel of the North, yeah. And he also did near me all the men on the beach.
Got you, yes.
I mean, he's a great art. That's why I was like, yes, I want a collaboration, perfume. It's called Iron, and there was like, it's limited to like 300, and I got it. It's like in a little like box and stuff. So I was like, yeah, great. I like these perfumes. They're not great. They're kind of resinous, synthetic oud type, metallic. The Iron one does like really nice kind of like iron filings and like the rust of the metal. It's great, right? But she claims to be a perfume designer, right? Which is a very technical term. It's a very kind of sneaky term of actually not saying she's a perfumer. Now, she sits around in a house with loads of materials around her. And by the way she talks about the materials, that she ain't getting the pipettes out and fucking around, She's like, oh, I've got this rose material that's like, or orris butter or whatever it is, that's worth like 50 grand a kilo and stuff. And you're like, I don't care about that kind of stuff. I want to see you actually like talk about perfume, like, because you're supposed to be giving us this insight into the back. All she wants to do is kind of, show off her kind of people that she's made perfumes for, or who she hangs around with on a Saturday night or whatever. So again, I don't mean to be too mean about her, but they did take one of my reviews and use it on their website. They've taken it down now, but it was like an advert or something that they stuck up, and they used my fucking review and they didn't give me any credit for it. I don't care. If she'd have asked me and said, can we put, it was the one about James Lavelle, I think, or maybe about the Gormley one, and I'd written a review. If she'd have asked and said, can we use this? Yeah, sure. I'm not a journalist. Do you know what I mean? I don't care. But credit people for like, taking their stuff. So that's why I'm kind of pissed off. And normally I'd just let it go by. But the more that I see it, I'm kind of like, why is she fibbing about being a perfumer? Anyway,
people like her, people like her, right? Only know how to take and they don't know how to make, right? It's exactly that. That is exactly why, like, you find loads of people like that in life. People who only know how to take things and they don't know how to make things. She just sounds, I know exactly the type of like person you mean. She's just she's all fart and no shit.
So
I take it as a positive review you left for one of her perfumes, and that's why she wanted to use it.
Yeah, I mean, both of them were broadly positive because they were blind buys, right? Oh, these are exclusive, they're going to be gone soon. And then like 2 years later or whatever, she's still trying to flog the like 100 special limited editions she did. So they can't be too bloody in demand.
Yeah.
And I don't feel daft though, because apparently now I've heard this kind of, from behind the scenes in the sort of UK perfume industry, that her husband or her ex-husband or whatever was a perfumer. So again, I don't know whether she has it. She obviously has industry contacts. Somebody's making her perfume for her. And again, I don't want to get sued, so allegedly. No, I don't know. like I say, it's pretty glaringly obvious. I was stupid. I was naive and just bought them because I loved the Gormley thing and I loved it. And I thought, oh, wow, I'm going to take it at face value. If someone tells me they're a perfumer, I'll go, okay, I'll believe it. It's not like, it's not saying you're a fucking wizard or something. You're just saying, you know, you could be a perfumer. But now when you look into it, there's a lot of these now. And again, you had about it the other day, and I was like, wanting to talk about it. But again, I kind of think a bit of distraction. Now, another instance, I was saying I was in, well, I won't say where I was because again, she was very nice, so I don't say who she is, but she was another one of the perfume designers. She would not admit to me that it wasn't her who was, it was her brand, but she would say that she didn't make the perfumes herself. There's no shame in saying that you didn't make them, but because I was kind of prying, and maybe I was being a bit of a dick because I was like, no, but who's the actual perfumer that you've? Because I know the perfumes that they sold in the shop were from some great perfumers, and she probably has really good contacts and whatever, but she couldn't admit that it wasn't her. You know, this is my brand and these are my concepts and stuff, and there is a distinction as well where I understand why people would just want to have. I don't want to muddy the waters with getting the perfumers involved. If they're contractually, there's an understanding that they don't get mentioned and they're happy with that, then fine. But I just don't see. I think like that whole, it doesn't have to be the Frederick Malle approach of like, you know, putting them at the forefront. But from a collector and a, you know, enthusiast point of view, you want to know who the perfumer was. You don't need to know, but you would like to know. And I think when they're kind of robbing the credit in a kind of ego-driven sort of way, that's you know, a lot worse than some. So anyway, coming back to Roger Dove, I don't mind the guy. To be honest, any perfume I've ever tried from Roger Dove is amazing. Right? I really can honestly say, and I haven't tried them all by any stretch. I certainly think they're, you know, very expensive. They're kind of outside of my general price range. I do own one, which I think probably would be quite sought after because it was quite an early one, was still when they had the paper labels. So I've got the Enigma EDP, I think. But I only got it because it was heavily, I somehow it was marked down. I don't know. It was years ago that I got it. And it's amazing. Like, I love that perfume. I love Danger. I like loads of those kind of ones from the original line, that the first ones that he brought out. And I think they're great. And Daguerreotype is really good. But yeah, they're kind of not for me. They're for like the Middle East market, the people who like bauble encrusted, you know, gold flacons and all that. And I don't care about that stuff. Well, I do. I like good presentation and all that, but it's secondary for me. It's you know, I'm really not too bothered about it.
What do you think? We had this argument the other day. I'm not sure if you're able to catch it. And we were talking about masterpieces and what constitutes a masterpiece, and can something that takes heavily inspiration from a perfume be considered a masterpiece as well? And I think you know, Mitsuko came up and Diaghilev came up, which is heavily inspired from Mitsuko. So what do you think, in your opinion, can something like Diaghilev ever be considered a masterpiece? Because just thinking about where the inspirations come from, does it need to be unique, or can it be just recreating somebody's work but improving on it? Is that okay? Is that sufficient? Or does that even matter at all? Should that come into play?
I mean, you could argue that all art is inspired and comes from another artist or another piece of work or whatever. So I think you went even back to like Coty, and then obviously Mitsuko. To be honest, I don't know that. I can't remember Daguerreotype that well. It had an impact on me in that I was like, wow, it's an amazing perfume. I haven't lived with it. I haven't worn it enough. I would say, I think, to be honest, Mitsuoko is a lot more sort of powdery. I seem to remember Diaghilev being more animalic, or have more of an animalic element. So again, I wouldn't necessarily connect those two. But
you know the problem you've got. You know the problem you've got with comparing Rogers to
right.
to
You're
Guerlain.
comparing modern Diaghilev and 100-year-old Mitsuko.
The problem is that you're not smelling the 100-year-old Mitsuko. You're not smelling the first release of Mitsuko. I imagine the first release of Mitsuko would have smelled like a fucking groin. Like it would have had animalics in it. Like I imagine all of those would have had like there would be completely different perfumes. Like if you remember Agnes Eva, if you go and watch her review about the Cuir de Russie pure perfume she's got one from like one of the early Cuir de Russies, and she says like the two of them don't even compare. It's like they're not even the same scent. Like it's like a shadow. So you can make out that it was once this perfume, but the one she's got is in what they look like the little Tom Ford, the Tom Ford 50ml bottles. It's like an apothecary bottle. I would tell this is what like Chanel used to do that pure perfume in. But I'm talking like the bottle she's got looks like it's about 100 years old. So apparently she comes from like a family full of collectors. So it's been passed down through the generations, and all she ever does is take the top off and smell it. She never wears it, but you wouldn't, would you? So if you go and look at that video, and the problem is, this is one of the reasons I collect vintage perfumes, is because the ones that are released now, a perfumer has to reformulate someone else's formula. So the further away you get from the initial release date, the further away you get from what the perfume originally was. So they're updated for many reasons, reformulated and everything. But the closer you can get to the original release date, the better. It's hard. It's a hard thing to quantify. Somebody's asking who Frederick Moore's successor will be. I think you're really going to struggle with that. It could be Roger Bird.
I have a feeling it'll be unknown to us.
It'll be what?
It'll be somebody that's unknown to us. It won't be somebody that's high up in the hierarchy.
Like Renault,
exactly.
like Renault Salmon.
Yeah, kind of one of those.
Oh.
So just sorry to change the subject, but I thought of something before when you were talking about your perfume, Eugene. Well, your perfumes, I'm assuming. So there's going to be 3. Is that right? Yeah. Are you? I mean, obviously, is your brand? Obviously, you want as much, commercial success as possible, but is it to appeal to your audience or people who already know who you are, or are you looking for it to be a successful brand irrespective of whether people know who you are or not?
Oh, that's a really good question. I want it to appeal to people that love perfume the same way that I do, and I think that's really who will be drawn to my fragrances. So, people that like, very easy to wear and mass appealing things probably won't be to their liking, which is okay. I don't imagine everybody will like these. I don't know. I can't tell you yet. Like, I know what I want them to smell like, but it's hard for me, you know, the same way when I review a fragrance and that you've never smelt, but you're watching my review and you're trying to interpret this in your own olfactive senses, is kind of the same way as me interpreting to my perfumer what my perfume wants to smell like. So, you know, I've got my idea and he's trying to create a vision for himself through my language.
Yeah.
Are those going to connect? You know, I hope they do. And if, you know, if they do, the people that like the things that I talk about on my channel, I think these will appeal to them most. But I oftentimes hear people don't like my taste because they don't want to smell like caca, or they don't want to smell like, you know, an old lady, which is totally fine. I'm not looking to make everybody happy. I want to be happy first. They got to please me first. And if they do, I think they'll please a lot of people that have similar taste.
Yeah, I get that. So
as far as success, you know, for me, this isn't about commercial success or financial success. It's more about fulfillment and doing something that I love, finding purpose, you know. I'm almost 50 years old and somebody at once asked me, and this stuck out in my head, like, what's the greatest thing you've done in your life? And I was like, you know, fuck, I have not done shit but caused trouble my whole life. You know, I had 3 kids, but everybody has kids, you know, sometimes unconsciously, some of us have kids. Other than that, you know, I work a day job, a 7 to 4 day job, and
mate, I'm pretty sure it's against the law to have kids unconsciously. You go to jail for shit like that.
You know what I mean?
You know what I mean? I know what you mean.
We have kids, right?
Yeah. As if that's your achievement. You want to build something that will outlast you.
Build something, because you know, I hear a lot of I watch and listen to my friends, and they're really into this political. I don't want to get political at all, but I hear they're bitching every day and they're fighting with their friends about politics, and they think their worldviews are right, but they're not doing anything about what they believe in. All they're doing is bitching. And I looked at myself and I said, you know what? I come on YouTube every day and all I do is bitch about Demochet. I bitch about Kurjan, and I don't fucking do anything about it. I want to change something, and I want to change what I'm talking about. So I want to bring to life what I believe. And that's
sure. It's that be the change you see in the world and all that.
Right. Yeah. Right.
So I think when you're talking as well about, because you have such a kind of rich, like, you know, your kind of palette of like things that you're into or whatever, there must be, because we're talking about things being inspired, whether you consciously know that you're inspired or not, there's clearly all those influences just from years of, you know, consuming perfume and being around it. That is what is going to come out in your perfumes. And somebody might go, oh, is there any, I'm saying it's unconscious, but is there any conscious kind of, again, you're not saying you want to copy, but emulate certain perfumes?
Right. So when I talked with my perfumer and set out the briefs, I didn't list one single perfume where I wanted it to smell like.
Yeah.
And I didn't want him to take an idea from any single one. The most I gave him was a genre. I said, I want it to be this genre, and these are the notes I like. And this is kind of what I want it to do. You know, this is the color of the perfume. These are some of the textures, the contrasts. This is the mood. And I did exactly that for a reason. I didn't want, you know, somebody to say, oh, you know, Eugene's favorite perfume is Mitsuko, and lo and behold, this smells like Mitsuko. Ta-da! Like, wow, oh, what a fucking genius. No, I didn't want that at all. That's the last thing I wanted. So I didn't give him any of that.
Well, that's great, you know, and the fact that you were conscious of that is, you know, really good. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what happens. And I think everybody's got to have, like, somebody. I was having a conversation with somebody today about, because
Thanks, James. I appreciate that, though.
Well, you're welcome. I get kind of I get like.
So I want to say, hang on. I haven't revealed my perfumer yet, but you were the guy that unconsciously connected me to him, and you
Wow.
you know what I mean by that. You had messaged me sometime in December, late December, and said,
Right.
"Go and check out these perfumes," and I was like,
Okay.
"Right,
I see.
yeah, yeah." But we'll keep it
Great.
between us for now.
Well, yeah. I think somebody had mentioned there was a rumor, but yeah, that's great. I mean, that's a really good one to have on board. So yeah, I think I was saying to somebody today anyway, because sometimes you get a little bit jaded and, you know, kind of pissed off with the whole community or whatever of, you know, talking to people. And I think I was trying to sort of say to somebody why I review perfumes, or why even bother, right? Because people had said to me like years ago, why don't you do YouTube? And I'd be like, I don't want to get into that, because I figure that, again, and I'm not trying to discourage anybody from doing reviewing or whatever, but I think there's a huge like oversaturation, whether they're good or not. But there's so many now that it's like, sometimes you look at it and go, what is the point in what I'm doing? Why am I talking about it? To satisfy my own muse, right? That's why I do it. I say to people as well, because like I'm a creative person, I make music, I like do artwork and stuff like that. Not very often, because like you say, things get in the way. You have kids, you have commitments. But if I don't do anything at all, so during this lockdown, I've not been able to play music in a band. So I play in bands, and, you know, have done for years. And I don't even really enjoy the music that I'm doing. I'm in like a doom metal band, right? I'm not a big doom metal guy, but I just want to play my drums, right? And as long as I satisfy that desire to be creative, it like my soul like aches if I don't. Do you know what I mean? If I don't do something. Like during the summer, I was off. Because obviously every time you have like a cold or whatever, I have to self-isolate from work and, you know, all this kind of shit. So I was at times when I was like home for a while, and I just thought, I want to get into leather, right? I never thought, not like gimp suits or anything. I mean, like, I want to get into making leather goods. So I watched loads of Hermes like videos and stuff, and like just got really immersed myself. I'd never thought about it before. And then I was knocking up wallets and all kinds of stuff. And it was just like a little hobby that I got into. But it's like anything else. It's like you say about like the kind of obsession with like fragrance and stuff. I get into something, or I have to replace it with something else. Or if my attention is not focused on something. So like I say, I might do a bit of painting, might get back into music for a while, whatever I'm doing. Just in order to satisfy that sort of need in me. And I have a need to write about perfume. I mainly write about it. So I write Fragrantica reviews and I write on my Instagram. But I have a need to do it. Like I don't really care, and it sounds bad, but I don't really care what other people think about it. It's just I need to get it out of myself, you know? So yeah.
I think it's great, but you mentioned earlier that the market's oversaturated, and it might be. There might be millions of reviewers, but that's okay. You know, there's a lot of young new reviewers here I can see in the chat, and all their channels are growing, you know, and they're collecting a following, and it's people that have similar tastes to them. So I don't think, you know, just because there are a ton of new reviewers out there should discourage somebody from doing what they love. If you feel a connection to this, you know, by all means, whatever you're reviewing, if chances are, if you love something, there's somebody else out there that loves the same thing and they want to hear about it. And as long as you can review it in a way that's, you know, you're communicating and understandable, there's nothing wrong with it. It's going to take, if you're going to try and grow your channel organically, it's going to take a little bit of a while, but I didn't mean like that, but you were one of the things, Tara, that I was thinking about, like a fairly newer reviewer. By young, I meant a young channel, but still you look very young physically as well. But that's kind of what I meant. Just do your thing, do it with love and passion, and people will come.
Absolutely.
Like there's so many, I can't watch everybody out there. When I have time, I'll sit down and watch and I'll try and enjoy, but I don't even know half of them anymore.
Yeah.
Right. I know you. I've known you for years on reading your stuff on Fragrantica, and I don't know. You don't write on Bass Notes, do you?
I used to.
Did you get banned on Bass Notes?
You what? Sorry.
Did you get banned on? Did you? Yeah. Years ago, I did. I do have a thing. I think I got back on there in about like 2015 or something, and I only go on the DIY forum. So I talk to like Paul Keeler's big on there. He's a perfumer guy. There's a few other guys. There was a big drama on there with Matt Milleg. You know that he's like a Canadian perfumer guy. Yeah.
That he caused a big fuss on there with all of them getting pissed off, and they all left and whatever. So they're still sort of reeling from that, to be honest. And I think that was a couple of years ago now. But I tend to be a bit of a voyeur on there because I like Bass Notes. But I mean, Bass Notes was the first site that I ever went on for perfume. And I think that was
a little bit more grown up, doesn't it?
It is.
Like you're eating with adults opposed to, I don't know, gimmicky, childish reviews on Fragrantica.
Absolutely. The reason that I favor Fragrantica, I just like the look of the interface more.
Right. Yeah.
That was all it was. I was just like, I like this format and I'm going to go on there. But as far as the technical forums and the people really know their shit on Bass Notes, and in a comparison, yeah, I mean, Bass Notes is arguably a better site for like knowledge and stuff. Whereas, Fragrantica's a bit, yeah. And I've had plenty of arguments and stuff on there. I mean, I've had quite a few perfume, like indie house people get pissed off with me and send me like emails and stuff, getting irate about reviews and stuff, and I'm like, it's hyperbole. I'm not angry. I just
right.
Comic.
Do you want to disclose any of those brands?
Yeah, fuck it, I'll say one. There was one from last year, and I couldn't believe it really, because there's a brand called Agonist. I think they're Swedish, possibly, and they had the most amazing when they launched in like the 2000s, whenever it was. They had amazing flacons. They were like beautiful. They're like pieces of art, right? So they're kind of almost like not Lalique, but like really modern, like glass art, right? And
yeah.
I saw those actual. They had normal bottles and these amazing, like they look like, some of them look like bongs, right? They're like literally like a bong, or like they have like birds on them and stuff. Really amazing. Like I think you can still see them on Fragrantica, but then they replaced them with these other bottles that were like still nice, but anyway, regardless of that, they were quite a creative brand. Not the best perfume, it's okay, but they just impressed me with the whole creativity of the brand, and they were a kind of Nordic or Swedish or whatever they are, and I just thought, oh, they're a cool brand. Then they've launched another brand recently which seemed so cynical. It was like, we're vegan, we're cruelty free, we're this, that, and the other, and it was all just like ticking boxes to say we are this, rather than our perfume's great and here's how we're sustainable and whatever. It was just we're vegan, with this, with that. So I kind of took against it straight away. The brand is called Crayon, and I saw loads of people promoting them, right? And I was like, they've got 3 perfumes out, which was a plus, because I was like, at least they're not releasing 8 or 12 at once, which is just ridiculous. They were releasing 3, and I thought, if they're focused into areas, no. One was a Santal 33 clone, right? And not even a very good one. The other was a horrible sweet.
Santal 33 wasn't good to begin with.
Well, no, it wasn't. I hate that perfume. So I know you do, but I saw that there was an article about it by Eddie Boliki, is he called? Yeah, on Fragrantica this week. And I put my thoughts on that as well. So if you can have a read of that. Because it said, why does Santal 33 exist? And I was just like, fuck knows. Right? And also because of hipsters.
Why is there something rather than nothing?
Yeah, well, this is it. So I said there's two reasons, hipsters and God only knows. So I think what I hate about it is that horrible, like, papyrus note, accord, whatever you want to call it. It's horrible. And it's in loads of perfumes. They seem to...
It's so dry, it dries out my mouth.
Disgusting. They seem to pair it with loads of...
It seems like the signature of Byredo, doesn't it? That papyrus.
Yeah, oh, horrible. So yeah, I don't like that. So then they did a rose, which was like a horrible, sweet, jammy, synthetic, disgusting Montal rose. And then they did vanilla, which was just awful, sweet, saccharine. It was just basically like they'd gone to a lab and gone, what have you got? A rose one? Have you got a Santal 33 type one? And have you got like a shitty?
Taking them off a shelf.
Yeah. There was no kind of creative. There's no connection to them whatsoever. And the brand was like crayon. So is it to do with crayons? I don't know. God knows. So I wrote really vitriolic, horrible review of all of them, saying how shit they were. And I said, they don't deserve to exist. I said, why does this exist? In a saturated perfume market, I'm sorry, but why the hell does this exist?
What
then the guy,
bring?
Yeah, I just said it's pointless. What's the point in it? I'm sorry, but that was it. And then the guy got onto me and basically went on a tirade saying, how dare you say that we shouldn't exist? And why should you fucking exist? All this kind of stuff. So it was just like... So I said, well, I'm sorry. I actually said to him, because I am quite amenable and, and a sort of affable chap, really. I said to him, well, really like Dagonist. I said it was a great brand, right? But this stuff is shit. And if you can't handle one person who has no audience, right? I don't have a particular... Some people say, oh, I like your reviews on Fragrantica, but I don't... it doesn't influence anybody. Why they care what one person thinks, who it's a subjective opinion, but objectively they're shit as well. They're just and that was it. So he sent me, and I sent him a really respectful one back, and I expected maybe a bit of an exchange, but that was it. It reminds me of when 4,160 Tuesdays first started. And I sort of slagged off some of the names and said, oh, what a stupid name for a brand and blah, blah, blah. And it was flippant kind of comments. But Sarah McCartney got onto me and was like, what do you mean by that? And all this. And Sarah McCartney is somebody that I talk to and I really get on with and I really like her now. I had no kind of ill will at the time, but it was just, she sent me an email and I really respected that she was like, hang on, I'm going to stand up for my... And I was like, look...
Great. That's great,
so,
right?
Yeah,
you don't get to walk your dog and have him shit all over my lawn and you just walk away, right? You got to pick this stuff up and be responsible.
Yeah. And I was prepared to say, why I thought that. And I wasn't necessarily slagging the perfumes off. I just said, I don't really get why I want to smell like raffle tickets and fucking bicycles and jam butties or whatever it was. Do you know what I mean? And so, yeah, it was kind of... but since then, I have so much respect for her as somebody who is really kind of removing a bit of the veil and a bit of the kind of the sort of pompous kind of thing of perfume. And I like what she's doing and I like her as a person. She's, very open and everything. So I've got a lot of time for her.
That's awesome. I'm not familiar with a lot of their work, but I kind of like the direction that, they're going or what she stands for, which feels like she has good intention.
Absolutely. And she knows perfume, right? You think of some of these people who say, oh, they're a perfumer, but they're not into perfume. How are you not? I want my perfumer to have a collection. I want them to know about the history of perfume and love it I can't expect them to love it as much as we do, but I kind of trust them more. It's like a fat chef. Do you know what I mean? It's like sort of say you don't trust a skinny chef or whatever. It's that kind of thing. If they're not consuming it, that's why like Christophe Laudemel, he's like, he loves perfume, and he does. He's into all the classics and everything. And have you tried his Zoo line?
I haven't, and I love what he stands for, or what he represents, and the things that he backs up. I've only tried one of his perfumes, and it was called Rich Mess.
Oh, that one.
Hello.
I've not tried that one.
Oh shit!
But I haven't tried any of the Zoo.
The Zoo are really good. They're really, really good.
Rich Mess to me feels like it's an indie when I say indie perfume, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's got that indie structure and that backbone. Is the Zoo the same thing?
Yeah.
Same thing. See,
he's
that's not something that I'm into. I can't, like, those things that my head just starts to buzz around them. You know what I mean? There's some beauty in there and I understand it, but they're not for me personally.
I completely understand that. And aesthetics are a thing. It's not your aesthetic, right?
No, it's completely on the other end. It's almost like scientific. I'm wearing something science instead of art.
Sure. And that's where, like, I feel you've got to have like the balance, because I don't want to be relentlessly going on about materials and going on about the, removing that mystique from perfume, because it inevitably some of that does get unraveled when you start to play around with materials. And like, for example, like I'm saying about the structure of like chorus, and I can never say it, anateos. Anteos. So immediately when you smell Animalis, I can send you some, Rich Mitch, if you want. It's basically like a kind of as soon as you smell it, you go, oh, that's chorus, right? It's like the backbone of it. Now I don't know if it existed before chorus. I don't think it did. I think is it Pierre Bourdon who did chorus?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. I think he made essentially a base that then people went, okay. Again, I'm not 100% on this, so it's not gospel, but if you smell that and you go, wow, that I can make a chorus type fragrance. In fact, I thought about making something for you, Duck.
All right.
And yeah, maybe using those kind of elements, because I've already got like a fougere that I'm kind of finessing, right? And it's been an ongoing process. And maybe some of that like Animalis type vibe would work with it. But again,
so like also, you're saying because I've thought this as well. I've hypothesized about this. I think a perfumer, because it's interesting you use that as Pierre Bourdon as the example, because Pierre Bourdon is Creed's perfumer. And he did Green Irish Tweed, and then 3 years later used the same structure and the same ingredients to make Cool Water, and it's the same base. So what you're saying checks out. Like a perfumer will come up with like a scaffold and use certain ingredients, and then what they'll do is they'll just riff on it. Annick Minardo does it loads. Annick Minardo, she made Bois d'Argent, she made Body Chorus. If you've ever smelled those two next to each other, you'll know they were made within like 2 years of each other.
Sure.
That's exactly the same thing.
Often a person won't admit to that, but it's so evident. I know the Creed is not banded about that it was that it's him who's the perfumer, but everybody knows it, and we know that it was the same. And people, it's evident in when you smell it. But I think the only perfumer that I've known to actually admit to that is the guy who did Fahrenheit, and I should know his name, Michel
Almarac.
Almarac. So Michel Almarac, his son it was. I saw an interview somewhere, and you know they released that Parfum de Parfum or whatever it's called.
Yeah, I've got one of them.
They have one called Papyrus Oud, which is very similar to Gucci.
Fahrenheit. No, sorry.
One.
Which he was the perfumer for, wasn't he?
Which he was the perfumer for. Now, usually you go, oh, okay, I see what's happening here. And also he did one for Bentley as well.
Which smells like Gucci one.
Yeah, exactly. So there's 3 perfumes, right? So you got the Papyrus Oud, that one, and that one, all done by the same perfumer. Normally they would just go, oh, you know, you wouldn't hear anything. But his son, when they were launching that Parfum brand, I read a thing and it said, no, he actually took the formula of the Gucci and he tweaked it slightly for the Bentley, and then he tweaked it slightly for this brand. And I was like, that's refreshing to actually hear them say that that's what he did. Because it's his formula at the end of the day. It's his vibe. Another one that does it very recently is Quentin. I call him Quentin Bitch, but I don't think that's his name. Biche. So he has done the Ganymede and the B whatever it is for Bawa. No, have you tried those?
Marc-Antoine Barrois.
Marc-Antoine Barrois, yeah.
No, I haven't tried them.
They're wonderful.
No, but we're hearing good things. Lots of good things.
Wonderful, right? They're like insane.
I'll tell you who talks about them a lot. Zhao likes Marc-Antoine Barrois.
So, I both of them are great. I mean, they're kind of very similar in structure. They're really sparkly, incense, like technicolor. Like they are like Nebula or something, you know, like that kind of whole like space vibe. That's what I get from both of them. Kind of fruity incense, incredible fragrances. They're a bit too much, actually. Sometimes too much of a good thing as well. I can love a fragrance, but it pissed me off wearing it all day because it's so present all the time, and it's like I'm kind of overloading on it. They're a bit like that, but they, you know, just wear less basically.
Is the Ganymede? Is it an indie perfume? Is it?
Yeah, it's Mark. And actually, I've spoken again. Just had pleasantries on the internet with. Oh, is he gone?
No, he might be. I'm not.
Okay. So I've had sort of pleasantries with the Barrois guy, and he's a really nice guy. He's got a good sense of humor because I think I pronounced his name wrong. And he was like, it's Barrois, and he spelt it like phonetically. I was like, all right, okay, because I was calling him like Barrios or some shit. So anyway, there's one from it's a great brand, Essential Parfums. And they're all 65 quid for 100 ml. They're all like sustainable glass, and you know the packaging comes in like a corrugated card that's all kind of it's all like no glue on the box and all this kind of stuff. And it's not a gimmick, right? They are genuinely, and they list all the naturals, how much is in them and everything, which again is a bit of a gimmick because it's kind of misleading because they talk about it in terms of the whole perfume, not just the concentrate. Anyway, that's just a technical thing, but they're really wonderful. And there's a new one by Quentin Biche called Bois Imperial, and it's basically very, very similar to Ganymede.
Just kind of recycling them, right?
A little bit, but again, that's maybe slightly unfair to say that. He's struck upon a vibe, right? He's struck upon a vibe that's his, and he's entitled to go out and use it. I just mean that if you kind of want, again, I'm not discouraging anybody from buying Ganymede because it's great, and I think they've done a new concentration of it as well, like a pure parfum or something. But the if you want one that's cheap and set in the same way that you might buy the Bentley because the Gucci's discontinued, or the Parle Moi. By the way, that's called papyrus, and it's not that horrible papyrus. It's really nice. It's just basically like, excuse me. It's just basically like, Gucci pour on.
Yeah, I've always liked that Gucci and wish I had grabbed one. And I remember liking the Bentley and never picked one up, but they're really affordable. You can get them for less than $50 or $40 even. Yeah. What's the price difference between the Bentley and the Parle Moi that smell identical?
I wouldn't say they smell identical. I would say the papyrus oud. Yeah, I would say the papyrus oud is definitely better, right? So if you're buying the high end one, you can definitely tell that it is like. I think, again, I don't know if there probably isn't real oud in it. I don't know, but it's denser. Put it that way.
Okay, that sounds good.
It lasts a lot.
Which one of the Parle Moi? Which one of the Parle Moi smells like Fahrenheit?
There is one. Again, to say it smells like Fahrenheit, it's not 100% like Fahrenheit, but yeah, it has that similar vibe.
It's closer to the original, yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called now, but there is one definitely. It's a good line. It's a good line.
I like the Oris tattoo I've got.
Yeah, I heard you.
I'm not sure it's.
The other day.
Yeah, it's a nice one, but I'm not sure it's worth. I'm not sure it's worth the retail price. I got mine half price at Les Centre.
Oh yeah, that was a rare thing, wasn't it? I got.
Yeah, they were doing like Dries Van Noten for like £100, like 100 mil.
Well,
it was crazy. They had them.
I don't know why I bought it.
No, it's crap. It's crap. Dries Van Noten. It's the same as Black Phantom. It's got the same dry down as Black Phantom.
I got a sample of Black Phantom. I'm gonna make the comparison, but Dries is not crap. It's different from what you like.
It's milk. It's milk and some kind of crazy
milk toast.
Some kind of crazy wood. It's lactose. It's very lactose.
Milk toast.
Well, hang on. You're not going to like this, but I think it's a little bit like a jus de pot from
yeah.
Do you like that?
Got that milky, bready, foodie. So
yeah, you're a big Sheldrake guy, though, aren't you?
It's like dipping bread into warm milk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't hate it. I bought it for a reason because I was pretty wowed by it at the time. In fact, I think I sprayed it on myself and then I put it in a card in my car, which I often do, and I put it in the little visor sun flat thing, and I leave it there, and then I wear it on my skin, and I'm like, yeah, okay. And then the next day, if I can still smell it on the card, I kind of start to go, and I get into a kind of thing where I'm like, I really want this, and then I buy it, and I'm like, I don't like it anymore. But such is life. But yeah, I mean, maybe I'll come back around. Your tastes change. It's constantly shifting landscape, and maybe I'll come back around to it. Didn't you? I think you said the other day. Somebody said, I know there's a lot of rumors about discontinuation going around, but didn't you say on here that was potentially being discontinued?
Which one?
The Dries Van Noten, because
we don't know
the rights to the name or something.
Frederick Mall was leaving like cryptic messages on his Instagram about Dries and Superstitious, and it just basically said try it before it's too late or something like that. So that means is left to your interpretation.
Right.
But that's almost like the feeling you get. He wants you to believe, or maybe he's just kind of I don't know, trying to stir up sales. Yeah.
I can't remember what I bought from Les Centres when it was that sale, because it was just after Christmas, wasn't it? I bought the Les Indemodables, the Rose Jamal.
Les Indemodables, I've never tried any of them.
They're great. They're a prime example of to talking about you know, naturals, I sort of respect being. It's not about being like thrifty, but it almost is about using sort of less is more, and being able to like exalt those naturals and use a relatively small amount of them, and to get the most out of them. And I think that's where the skill of the perfumer lies, because you could have somebody like, for example, we're talking about a Russian Adam or a, you know, whoever it might be, an indie perfumer or whatever, who will just stick loads of Rose Absolute in something. And yeah, of course it'll smell nice, or stick loads of Oris butter in it. I mean, Oris butter like plugs into something in everybody that goes, oh, fucking hell, that's lovely, you know. And it thickens it, even if it's not overt in the composition, it thickens everything up, and it makes it all richer and everything. So I understand, you know, them using it, but when like a brand like Les Demodables, who have a skilled, you know, a perfumer who can take a relatively small amount, and it's not because they're like scrimping, it's because that's all that's required from that perfumer, because they can use synthetics and other things around it, molecules which get the absolute most out of a relatively small amount. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So that's why I love brands like that, because again, they even are transparent about the amounts that they use. And it's fascinating for me to say, oh wow, you know, that is a relatively small amount, but look how much they're getting out of it. A rose, like now, have you tried the toy boy, the Moschino toy boy?
Yeah.
Do you not like it?
I liked it.
It's all right. It's all right. It's better than what's been coming out of most what do you call it, designers recently, but it's not a particularly good perfume.
I think it's the best designer rose perfume I've ever smelled.
Yeah, I would say with my very limited encounter with it, I thought it was very good compared to a lot of the things that were coming out today on a mainstream shelf. Probably the most interesting thing.
So do you think it's better than Declaration for a rose perfume?
Well, Declaration isn't a rose perfume. The
other one, the Declaration Soir or whatever it's
called.
I don't know. I can't answer that because I haven't worn either of them.
I like that perfume. Yeah, I do like that one. But yeah, again, this is personal taste. I love pink pepper and rose together, and I love synthetic roses that aren't screechy, because you can make an amazing rose accord, right, that smells great with just that tiny bit. And I only know that there's real rose in the toy boy because Philip Kraft put it on his blog or whatever, his page, and basically, you know, said why he loved it so much. And I was like, well, you know, Philip Kraft, he literally wrote the book on modern perfumery. So do you follow him? He's called Crafty Smells on.
No, I'm not familiar with him, unfortunately.
Oh, dude, that is a wealth of knowledge, that guy. Right, and he's really nice as well. I think he's German, and he wrote a book which is really sought after, actually, called Scent and Chemistry. Which
okay, I'll check him out.
Everybody wants, because it's no longer being published. So it's no longer in print.
Discontinued.
Yeah. So basically, people want this book, and it goes for like £1,000 and stuff like that. They're actually doing a revised version of it, but because of the pandemic and everything, it's been put back, and so they are going to release it again. But it's really sought after for perfume people. But anyway, he has a really good thing where he goes on about materials, and it's like I say, it's wealth of knowledge, and he talks about new brands, but he loves synthetics, and he loves all the, you know, kind of stuff that you probably wouldn't like, but he talks about it in a very interesting way. And I think with this one, he was so impressed with the rose in it And I was immediately, I was like, this has that quality. It's only a little bit of that kind of dusty, like velvety Rose Absolute, and you just get a little taste of it, and then it's a bit of that kind of peekaboo sort of thing with it, but the sweetness of the pink pepper. I love that fragrance. I absolutely adore it. And it's got a stupid bottle. It's like I mean, I'm even dumb enough. I bought the original Teddy, you know, the one that's actually like Teddy. The fragrance is abysmal. It's terrible, but it was a Teddy after all. And I thought, I'm a collector. I want a perfume bottle that's like a Teddy. But anyway, so yeah, Toy Boy is amazing as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, don't let the shape of the bottle fool you. It's an excellent perfume, regardless of how kitschy it can be.
Sure. Right, I've just realised it's 2:30, but it's been a pleasure, gentlemen. I'll have to go because
we only planned on coming out for a very quick scent of the day and
I'm sure,
a check-in video, but you know, we got
quick video is never. We are never going to have a quick stream, Eugene. This is like,
I don't want to be on for 3 hours. You know, if you want to go for an hour, that's fine. But you know, we might be back tomorrow or Thursday, probably Friday. Friday's a holiday. We were thinking about reviewing Kurhaus. So regardless, you know, as hard as it is to understand both of you guys, I'm glad that you're both able to come on. The two Brits.
Big Brits.
Yeah, James, you're welcome to come on whenever you have something you want to share.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. It's nice to.
It's been my absolute pleasure. Guys in the chat, give James an applause. Same for Rich. And
how do you like this? Because you're telling people to like press like or whatever. I couldn't see on YouTube.
You can't see it now because you're on the StreamYard, but when you go on
even on YouTube, I was like, "Where's the like?"
It's just the like.
Have you got the? It's just the thumbs up. So. If you come out of the live chat,
yeah,
and then there should be it should be right there.
Oh, okay.
Next to the live chat.
Just a normal thumbs up. Yeah, if I go like back onto the video of this, then I can like it. So cool.
Yeah, everybody out there, like the stream if you've enjoyed yourself. We'll be back, you know, soon. I don't know when, but it's always a surprise, even for myself. I don't know. It's never planned. It's just kind of a quick conversation between Rich when we're both feeling it. So that's usually how it works out. And, you know, we don't even give much time or notice. It's just like, all right, let's stream. All right, let's try and take a shower. But today I didn't even have time to shower after work. I was just like, Rich is annoying me. I know he wants to go on. So the sooner I'm done streaming, the sooner I can shower and go cook dinner. And it's almost 10 o'clock now. But anyway, it was fun. I had a great time. Always love talking about perfume and learning new things and hanging out with you guys. This is much better than watching cable television or whatever else is in style now. But
yeah, cool. All right, all the best, chaps.
Thanks, guys.
Next one. Cheers, man. See you later.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody in the chat. See you soon. See you, Rich. Thanks, buddy.
See you. Cheers, man.
All right.